What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried.
All right, hello everyone, welcome back to NECC. My name is Fel. I'm also joined here by my co-caster of H, just the letter H, that simplistic, and we're not going to waste much of your time. We're going to hop right on into game number 2, I should say, and the two teams are going to be Team Arcadia versus UC Davis, and we're going to Coastline, one of the most aggressive maps in the pool right now. What do you think of this lineup so far, H?
That we've already banned Jackal and it's on Coastline, also known as, in my opinion, one of the most common picks specifically on Coastline because of just the absolute just trouble that Jackal can cause for the roam game. And we're also seeing a Blackbeard ban on top of that. Didn't his shield get nerfed recently in one of the patches, or has that not gone through yet?
Only on the test server, so it's still 50 HP. That Saran wrap has not been completely nerfed into the ground, so there is still a little bit of viability on Blackbeard, especially on such an attacker-favorited map like Coastline. It's probably the smallest map in the game, only about 2 floors, so that roam presence and frag potential is very crucial, but a very familiar band coming out, Mira, that makes a whole lot of sense. She is probably the most banned operator in the game on the defensive side, and that's because her Miras bring so much utility to the board that can almost be uncounterable in some instances. But the final ban coming out, a Malusi, to top it all off, the icing on top of the cake, makes a lot of sense as well. Very utility heavy operator. This is a pretty common lineup for bans coming in Coastline, except for maybe the fact that Nomad was not put in the chopping block, but that's still completely fine.
I feel like it's because you see a lot of Nomad in general team play. So a lot of people have a Nomad in their belt. And as we say, that Legacy over here is going to be picking our Nomad.
There we go.
So I feel like that they are just already so cemented in that you just can't really ban them. You either pick or ban. So if they don't ban Nomad, both teams plan on playing Nomad. However, some interesting picks we're seeing out here already. We're seeing a Doc Pulse on the defensive side along with what is now an IQ, but what used to be a Lion, and an Iana, and the Doc has been 6-picked into a Maestro as well. Much more of a cam op and a lot of intel coming in the form of our Lesion Mines, our Pulse, and just the straight-up cameras from our Maestro. What do you think about that?
I love this lineup for the top floor defense. Hookah Billiards, maybe not one of the best sites to go to. It's become a little bit more lackluster as the season has progressed towards its end, but the lineup for this is just phenomenal. You got the Bandit to deny that back wall inside of Billiards. The Jaeger, you know why we pick Jaeger. He has far too strong of utility to not bring the Maestro and pulse for some gathered intel above and below the site, along with Pluto as well. So this is a great setup to bring. And also on the attacking side, the Yana for some gathered intel, also allowing that drone economy to be a little bit more alive and well once we progress towards that middle and end game. The Ace for some hard destruction, but it might be a little more difficult for him because of that previously mentioned Bandit, then Legacy on the flank. Watch, Chef Gusteau, and Ash just for mostly fragging potential and soft destruction.
And you also have to consider the fact that Ace is our only hard breacher, so that is a lot of pressure on the Ace to not only try to keep with their team, but also not to get too greedy with their kills, because that'll be a lot of utility out of the pockets of UC Davis that we would be having as the only hard breacher, and they're already going to be trying to breach through that outside wall over by Bar, but it's not going to work out because they've already fully electrified it, and they don't have any real way to deny it from outside the building. They have to go in and they have to take over everything that is underneath pool room in order to take down that outside wall. It is just a lot more work that I feel like they're not going to try to bother with. They're just going to keep holding out this perimeter of the roof and try to catch out the roamer a little bit less actively.
Huncho Panda could possibly rotate in towards VIP. That way he can get that back wall opened up and allow a beautiful sightline to be held all the way into Billiards. So he could still actually do his job properly here, but sadly, there will be no skyline angles to be held. Some shots come out from VIP, as a matter of fact, by Chef Gusteau. Not going to be able to land any, but he'll only be given a little bit of damage taken towards him. Blast area, I can see in the corner of my eye, working his way in towards Cedar to possibly clear out that roamer near the white stairwell. But already, a lot of map control has already been in the hands of UC Davis, but Arcadia going to find the first and make it the second frag. Animal Mother, phenomenal shots, claiming the body of Guac and also Legacy. What a fantastic opening start by him, almost finding a third. He'll light up Ash through the wall, but he's not going to be lucky enough to finish her off outright, and he'll have to now reposition back towards white stairwell. Both Blast Area and Animal Mother now on such little HP, but UC Davis is very low on time and also manpower. They might not be able to convert this as a win, but just as I say that, Blast Area finding the refrag, Pluto refragging as well onto Huncho. It's now a 4v2 and not that much left here for UC Davis to really do.
They had a very wide strategy by the looks of it. They were spread out very heavily trying to catch out the roamers, and Pluto's going to catch their double on Chef Gusteau, leaving Blast Area, our poor Ash, in a 1-2-3 scenario now as he secures their double kill, trying to push in through our southern hallway into Aquarium, catching some hits onto Mutt Grinds. However, I don't think they'll be able to push in fully with 27 seconds left on the clock, and my predictions are laid out to be true as Mutt finally catches the last bullet to take down Blast in Aquarium. And I don't think there's much you could have done in that scenario if I was Mutt, not Mutt, Blast.
Not really. He had the intel to work with. He was well aware of Mutt Grind Games' position, but he just was not able to have enough health to actually win that 1v1. So he'll finally get shut down, and it'll be a win by Arcadia, really starting off strong with those two opening frags and wasting so much time against UC Davis. They had about a minute to work with, but let's just hope they can manage to convert some of these attacking wins into their favor. As we all know, Coastline is the most attacker-favorited matchup, seeing these first split rotations coming out 4-2 favoring the attackers, but so far Arcadia is doing a great job of trying to win as many rounds as physically possible, and they're going to try to have that same success moving on to the first floor defensive site of Kitchen and Service.
And using this Kitchen and Service site, there is a great... Okay, I stand corrected. I just saw Huncho on our sledge instead of the Ace this time, so they do have that vertical advantage. However, Arcadia will have the extra challenge of having to hold the vertical VIP and Hall of Fame in order to much more securely hold down the Kitchen. Because using that vertical play, you are able to just absolutely catch out anyone who is in cover of Kitchen, and with a sledge, that can happen very, very quickly. So it will depend on how Arcadia holds the second floor, which, judging by our vigil, that is going to be put down to Mutt as they run through our main lobby, presumably upstairs to VIP, as I stand corrected, as he hunkers down in security room as the action phase of our game starts up.
They're extending more in towards the first floor, not just that upper area, but there is Animal Mother and Pluto playing up above. I assumed Animal Mother would be playing up there. He was the first front line of defense trying to stall for time against UC Davis, so it only makes sense he'll do it a second time, and he was very successful. He was able to light up 2 separate players and then find 2 frags as well, so he was able to do a lot of damage and cause a ton of trouble against UC Davis. But already, Huncho Panda holding down a deep angle near Vase all the way through Hookah Lounge, waiting for the perfect moment to find a frag, but it's not going to come into fruition just yet. But at the exact same time, though, UC Davis already clearing out VIP, they'll begin to actually make their way into the building of Coastline itself and gather a little bit of intel against these top floor roamers of Arcadia. It will only be a matter of seconds before we see a bloodbath, and there we go, Pluto. He will not get spotted out by the drone work, but finally a refrag will fall out by UC Davis as Legacy picks up the headshot onto Pluto, but the damage has already been done. That's one of your main soft destructors of Ash down the drain already.
And that is already a lot of vertical play taken out of the attacking team's pockets. While you still have the sledge, the Ash is definitely really good for the underside vertical play if they wanted to try to somehow catch off anyone on the second floor. And as I say that, we're seeing Chef getting taken down, with Animal Mother also taking down Legacy. That is the roam clear down, leaving a lot of room for both Mutt and Animal to just absolutely wreak havoc as Huncho checks out Theater over here, going into master bedroom, hoping to catch someone out, taking down Animal Mother in VIP hallway.
Perfect positioning by Huncho that can allow for them to start doing a little bit of vertical play, but they are very short on time. We're down to that final minute, and they're also behind on the man count. They do have that top floor control that I just previously mentioned, but then they're going to have to reposition down to that first floor. Huncho almost spotting one player near that rotational hole between kitchen and service, but he's not going to be able to mark it off of that bird's eye view sightline. Some fragmentation grenades. You can hear them being cocked in the background. He'll be able to throw it down through that vertical holes and try to find one. Not going to be successful the first toss, but the second one could possibly come out. Only have to wait for a few more moments, but nope. It's going to be a dud. So now we're down to half a minute, and still that man disadvantage in the hands of UC Davis. They're going to have to just absolutely frag all the way in towards site, but there goes a kill coming out by Mutt Grind Games, and Huncho Panda is down for the count. Now all up to Guac in a 1v3.
That really...
Sorry about that. Nope. Down to the last couple of seconds, and I don't think he's going to really attempt to actually work his way in towards site. He might try to find a petty frag here and there, but there really isn't much left for him to do. Only down to 5 seconds, and he'll try to just work his way in towards bathroom, but the shot from behind by Kojo will shut him down, and another round win comes out by Arcadia.
And that was a really good pick against the sledge, because that reduces the amount of options that Ariana has to capture the point. Because it was just the sledge probably could have hung out a little bit more on the top and try to catch out someone using whatever frag grenades they had left or whatever gunshots they had left to try to get that down from a 3-1 down to a 2v1, which is a lot easier on the player in the one part of that equation. So we're going to be seeing a slight deviation by the looks of it coming in for our defense. Aside, we're seeing both a Omai and a Valkyrie pick coming in over the Maestro and the Vigil. I would say the Omai is a definitely better pick because you can still roam with them. They're still very good at it. And you also get the added utility of projectile denial. However, you are seeming to sacrifice the Jaeger as well. So that's probably why they picked the Omai over the Vigil, as we had been seeing earlier, with Mutt grabbing the Valkyrie, another very prolific roamer, and also simultaneously a much more passive cam up, because you can only throw it, and then once someone on your team dies, they're able to take control of said camera.
I like how you mentioned a lot of the utility in the beginning of this prep phase. There's a big difference between active and passive utility, which is why when you only want to bring one anti-utility operator such as either Wilmai or Jaeger, you should tend to prefer Jaeger, as you can immediately put down your ADSs and not have to worry about it. If you go for a run out early in the game and die, it's not going to be a problem. You still have done your job by placing your utility. If Kojo gets collapsed early on to round number 3, then that's a lot of his utility down the drain. He could only have 2 of his Wamai magnets on the board, and that's all he can show for it. A lot less utility compared to at least 3 or more ADSs by Jaeger, as they are now infinite due to recent changes that have occurred at the beginning of this new season. So a lot of active utility in the hands of Arcadia. Let's just hope that they can utilize it properly and maybe go for some very aggressive runouts, as we see both Mutt Grinds and Bing Bong on some camera operators like that Valkyrie and Pulse.
And we're seeing already some pushes onto the deck of Hookah Lounge, and another separate push happening simultaneously over in Aquarium, doing a really decent pincer attack on Arcadia. However, they have already shown that they are really good at gunfights, and Animal Mother is going to be able to capitalize on that, taking down the Hibana. A great pick with Pluto taking down Legacy, the roam clear of Nomad, and we're seeing Bandit fly like an eagle down our poor cool vibes, and Pluto securing another 2 kills. Guac is our last standing, and we are barely a minute in.
Minute 50 on the clock, and there really isn't much else that Guac can do. This might be another slight tactical timeout. He's got to find 4 separate kills, and he's just trapped in the middle of Hookah. He really can't go anywhere. That was just a flawed execution. Arcadia, they played it perfectly. They were able to have Animal Mother 60 find the first 2 opening frags, and then he finally got shut down by UC Davis, and Pluto was just there to find a refrag, a 3K, might I add. So it just was a completely flawed execution by UC Davis, like I just mentioned, and now there really isn't much else that Guac can do. It's minute 15 on the clock, and the active utility comes out by Pulse spotting out Sledge, and he really is just a sitting duck, now down to 55 health. There just really isn't much else that he can do, and we're down to the final minute, and he's still just sitting in the exact same position, and there we have it. I was waiting for the C4 to come on out by Pulse, and it finally will, just slaughtering the last lamb on the side of UC Davis, and it'll be 3 round wins in a row by Arcadia. This is the most defender-sided matchup on Coastline that I've seen in quite a long time, Age.
I would have to agree with that. That was just a really they were trying to do a really fast push on UC Davis's side. They were trying to get in and get out and get the job done well. However, they weren't able to do that, and they were quickly caught out by what I'm going to presume was a decent call out from the Pulse, or just a lot of really good placement of just the defensive side in general, because they were just very quickly melted like ice cream in just the hot summer sun, and they just caved into the pressure of the defense on Arcadia's side, leaving it into the 3-0 Arcadia favor as we go back into Hookah and Pool's room, which they have already shown that they can defend very, very effectively.
I never thought, H, that I would utter the words flawless defensive rotation on a map like Coastline, but here we are. I'm saying those words right now live on NECC, and Arcadia, they are really just not taking their foot off of that accelerator. They are just flooring it to a map 1 victory right now, and like you said, we'll end up returning to this top 4 defensive site of Hookah and Billiards, and I believe this to be the exact same lineup that Arcadia brought the first time, setting everything up the exact same way, those bandit charges going off on the back quadra wall, VIP being reinforced as well. This is all the exact same stuff, just a new round, and the same thing goes for UC Davis as well, other than the fact that Chef Gusteau actually stuck to that lion pick, so maybe they'll be able to flush out these roamers a little more effectively and have a lot more time to work with once we head towards that middle and end game scenario.
They are really working to try to prevent the roamers from catching them out with with all 3, the triple entendre of Lion, Nomad, and Ayana to keep that drone economy going as well. So they should be able to get all the intel they need to be able to catch out Mutt, to be able to catch out Animal Mother as well. Are 2 very prolific roamers that we're having, as Pluto gets in a gunfight over by VIP Lounge as he tries to find a kill over in hallway. However, the Lion does not bear any fruit, at least not against Pluto. So that is a really good game of red light, green light that Pluto has just played.
Bro, I played at elementary school all the time, and he'll spot the upside down rappel and not manage to take a single bit of HP there. That was incredibly lucky there. I am quite impressed by Pluto, and now he'll be able to reposition in towards 90 corner, and Animal Mother will be able to watch his back. He can still worry about that VIP push coming into effect, and it's still this 5-on-5 as the first minute comes to an end, but just as I say it, the caster curse comes into effect. Now a 5-on-3 as Animal Mother and Bing Bong find kills of their own. Animal Mother 60 with a magnificent headshot onto Chef Gusteau. You gotta hit those with the Vector, and now it's a 2v5 all up to Guac and Huncho Panda, and they are just on the opposite side of the map with no hope left in their bodies.
Oh no. You ever put like a piece of cotton candy into water? Because that is exactly what has happened to UC Davis. They're the cotton candy, Arcadia is the water, and they are just dissolving under everything by the looks of it. They're just not able to catch the shots that they need, with Pluto just able to just absolutely matrix their way out. Huncho Panda getting the kill on our just aforementioned Pluto, getting just plain old unlucky by the sounds of it, and not able to dodge the bullets that he has been so able to dodge earlier in this round. With 45-ish seconds left on the map and at a 2v4, I think Arcadia already has this fourth one in the bag, as they just absolutely redline for the first win on this matchup.
We've seen 2v5s be won before, but in the position that UC Davis is currently in, I don't think they're going to be able to convert this into a victory. Grenade comes out by Guac in just a matter of seconds, fully triggering it up to release just in the bottom of that floor site, and oh no, Animal Mother on a tear. He shuts down Guac, and now we're in a 1v4, and Huncho Panda was outside for just a moment. He'll try to reposition onto Bing Bong Plays. He'll try to go for the compensation frag, but he's not going to find one onto Pulse. A 4th round win in a row for Arcadia. They are just on a tear right now against UC Davis.
And that is just showing just the pure carnage that one really good roamer can do, because we saw both Animal Mother and Pluto just absolutely dodge and weave outside of bullets like a bumblebee, or bumblebees, plural, my bad. But they were just able to catch everyone out, and they were able to land their shots very effectively. And they were able to get the kills that they needed, evening it out to a 5-3 almost instantaneously. Very similarly to, as I have already said, cotton candy and water.
Man, I could go with some cotton candy right now, H. I'm not going to lie, but this is still a pretty normalized matchup on Coastline, to be honest. It may be defender favored right now, but that's simply because of the frags. I mentioned this earlier. That's why Coastline is such an attacker-favorited map, is because of the frag potential. It's such a small, impactful map, I guess you could call it. It's kind of reminiscent of Call of Duty, just really simple run-and-gun tactics. You try to get into one part of the map and just out-frag the opposition, but Arcadia's been the players to actually deny that map control and just counter-frag UC Davis. They've been doing an amazing job of that factor going in right now, and we'll now head in towards kitchen service as well, and they're already setting up their defensive hold up above. That impact hole being made by Animal Mother, I think that's to deny both the hookah push and also the pink bar push, so utilizing his secondary utility to cover more ground at the exact same time. I mean, Animal Mother is just doing it all. He is just multitasking right now like a madman.
Animal Mother, because they have the power of motherhood, is able to just absolutely corral all of the little rascals coming in on Davis's team, is able to catch out everyone that they can, and I feel like that, especially since you were talking about it's very run and gun, very get in, get out, Call of Duty style, there comes in a prospect of Occam's Razor, wherein the simplest thing is probably the most logical thing to do. It's a very simple push in most cases. You should know what to do. It just comes in much more of on the execution, on the attacking side for it to be used effectively. And along with that, the defense that we are seeing from Arcadia, as Animal Mother is going to be rotating over to main lobby as everyone tries to push through service hallway by the looks of it, rather than trying to take the above route. They're just trying to take the much more horizontal route, just straight through service, straight through kitchen window, trying to catch some people out that they might need to try to catch out.
A simplistic approach, and don't get me wrong, simplicity can be effective in certain instances, but right now UC Davis is basically just going to Hail Mary into a funnel right through service doorway, and that could be an absolute death trap, especially with people like Bing Bong Plays who are on the Maestro pick. That 80 Bull Alda can just shred through the attacking side's bodies like paper going through a paper shredder. It's really not the ideal setup. Some drones coming out though, which will be able to spot out Bing Bong, but he can simply just reposition either towards shelves or simply just keep playing in towards bathroom. He does have that Alda that I previously mentioned, one of the better defensive sided weapons, as it is just a headshot machine. Laser beam, it's just far too strong to be up. I'm surprised how they have not managed to nerf that gun, but a minute on the clock left, and it's still a 5-on-5. This is very worrying for UC Davis, as they are, for the most part, still outside right now.
They have been looking into the building and trying to plan it out. However, with that minute left on the clock, they're hitting that coveted 20-second mark that you hear so frequently on the defensive side. Kojo just absolutely holding this really cheeky pixel pick. He is a literal hair in the crosshairs of UC Davis, probably not even being noticed at all. So with 30-ish seconds left on the clock, there's not much that UC Davis can do outside of just run in and hope they land the shots that they need. And just as I say that, Huncho taking down Bing Bong, our poor Maestro. I'm hoping that they got the cams in where they wanted, with Blast Area pushing into Sunrise as well, trying to catch someone out over at Blue Bar in the name of Pluto, who is holding out this decent flanking route coming in from Pool Vibes into Kitchen, and Mutt catching out Blast. We've hit 10 seconds. I feel like Arcadia's already got it in the bag.
There really isn't much else they can do. Down to 5 seconds, 3 onto the plant coming down by Legacy, but Chef Gusteau is not able to cover. He misses the shot, but somehow Legacy gets the plant off. Now in a 40-second timer, and the roles have now reversed. With UC Davis on the defensive hold and Arcadia on the attack, as they now have to push into service through a hail of bullets by that AR-33. Flank comes out by Animal Mother, but Chef Gusteau is quick to respond, and now things are evened up 2-2. Chef Gusteau missing some vital shots onto Mutt Grinds, but he's already on such little HP, and luckily, he'll find the third onto Pluto. Now just a 1v1, all up to Mutt Grinds, and he does not have a lot of time to work with. He'll find one onto Chef Gusteau, but he has no clue where the plant has been placed. Air jab denying his push, and there's not enough time, and even to add insult to injury, Legacy will find the frag regardless onto the lone player of Mute, as the air jab found both players surprisingly, and finally, UC Davis having some luck on this attacking lineup, even though that should have been a loss. They only had half a minute to work with, H.
They did only have a half a minute to work with, and they were able to pull it off just insanely, with Mutt being the primary just resistance, but he was easily sent back to the doghouse, which, continuing with these down with the pedal redlining just metaphors we've had been going on for Arcadia, just getting absolutely brake checked by UC Davis, to having the first W for UC Davis's attack coming in on both service and kitchen, as they're going to try it again. Arcadia is, because they had great success. They just need to be able to hold out their own when they all try to push in at the same time, and be able to try to catch out any sort of plant that they might have.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit in shock that UC Davis actually won that, but you know what? Congrats to them. They were able to utilize the fact that Arcadia didn't counter the plant going down. They had no utility to counteract it. I think Mutt Grind still had his nitro cell, but that's besides the point. We'll actually see a return going into kitchen service, and also, oh no, it's just kitchen service. I'm so used to cafe being a lineup map and not coastline that I'm used to saying kitchen service and kitchen cooking, but it's just kitchen and service room now. That is a little bit nicer to say, but I'm surprised they didn't opt to go either penthouse or blue and pink bar. And H, I got a quick little question for you. You don't have to really prolong that talking point, but do you prefer penthouse more or the blue bar side?
I would have to say I am a larger fan of penthouse. It is just larger areas that allow for the defensive side to get into a much more hiding point, and then much more become pixels on the screen of the attacking side. So it takes the attackers a much longer time to find the defenders, so you are able to get more shots off much more safely, because it would give the potentiality of longer looks and to try to find the defenders and catch a bullet.
That's a pretty good reason. At least you've made a good point, I suppose. I'm rather happy you did that, but so far everything looks to be for the most part the same by UC Davis. They're doing a little bit more drone work on the opposite side of the map, working their way in towards offices and not just pondering their thoughts outside of that service doorway. So they're already doing much better than the previous time they attacked this site, so that's phenomenal for them. But at the moment, they've not been able to cover all that much ground. We have players like Animal Mother and Pluto still trying to put a cap on that bottle in towards Pink Bar, trying to slow down UC Davis as much as possible. And as the first minute comes to an end, I believe we'll finally see Blast Area begin to work his way in towards offices. But the question is, can he spot out Mutt Games? But apparently Guac can spot out Mutt instead. That's a phenomenal shot all the way through Skylight from Pink Bar. And that's going to be the opening frag in the favor of UC Davis, as they almost find another onto Animal Mother, who's just trapped near couches. But finally, he'll be able to rotate back outside. But just as I mentioned that, it'll be a second for Guac, as we will have Sledge pick up that frag onto Animal Mother.
And that is just both of our top fraggers. I'm going to say it again, back to the doghouse, back into our respawn pool, which will happen next round when everyone else has died. Pluto is going to be trying to hold out this main lobby. He's taking a really wide route of defense coming in, with Kojo and Bing Bong being the last actual anchors on service and kitchen respectively. so they know that people are there. We have a minute left to a 5-3. They just have to hold the angles and hold them well, barely missing a sight line onto someone on UC Davis coming in from kitchen, getting caught out by a service peak from the outside. They have to rotate into a safer position, making the kitchen push a lot safer for UC Davis.
Plant now coming down. The sound cue will be heard by Bing Bong. He'll mark it off of that miscalculation, and now all of a sudden the tables almost turned fully, but Guac just shredding through the opposition. He'll find a third for himself, and Blast Area following suit. It's now a 1v3 all up to Maestro. He'll find a wall bang on a Guac, but he can't pick up any more kills that round. The hard carry will not come into effect. Huncho will finish off the lone Maestro player, and another round win comes out by UC Davis, making this a 4-2 split, but on the exact opposite side of how things normally go on Coastline, with Arcadia having a strong lead against UC Davis, and now they're on the favorable side on the attack. This is looking to be still a great win by them if they're able to keep this forward momentum going on outward.
And then judging by the picks that we're seeing here as well, we're seeing a much more utility-based defense coming in with the pick of the Cade, the pick of the Mute. We're seeing a lot more dependency on gadgets. And then on the attacking side, instead of a Sledge, we're seeing a Buck, who is able to push through the floors a lot faster, but lacks frag grenades to be able to get the blast area that makes vertical pushes a lot easier. And on top of that, you have the smoke and blind strategy coming in from our Ying, who, if used properly, especially on the sightline of Hookah and Pool Room, will be utilized to great effect. And on top of that, they have both a Wamai and a Jaeger, so depending on where they place all of those, the Ying is either going to be absolutely amazing if it's the Wamai, because the blinding will still go off, or it'll just be absolutely useless because of the Jaeger just straight up disintegrating our poor Ying's Candelas.
I think they'll try to just utilize their other utility first, like the smoke grenades. There's 4 of them, and smoke grenades, they're very powerful, especially when Warden is not in play, but you don't need 4 of them. Probably 1 or 2 will just simply do the trick. So you can actually use the first 2 on either other operator of the Ying or the Ace to just burn through a little bit of that utility of the ADSs and Wamai. Same thing goes for the Ash charges. Yes, they're so strong put in the right hands, but 3 of them, you might not always need all of them. So it really depends on how well Arcadia can burn through UC Davis's utility with the exchange of their own. But at the moment, speaking of Arcadia, they'll begin to open up that back bathroom hatch, and they'll probably clear out the back areas near VIP first and foremost, maybe get that back skylight area opened up, but that's most likely not going to happen, as both Cade and Mute are on the board, so there's bound to be a lot of anti-breach going into effect.
And then Chef has already been called out into our birdie room as well, so that is our roamer. The location is known for the roamer, and that is an actual night terror. So now they know the rough location of where to find our chef, our head chef. And then it is going into we just passed the first minute mark, and we are still at a 5-5. Arcadia has not really tried to push into the building yet. They're still trying to drone out and catch people out. I'm noticing that on both sides, where both sides try to drone out as much as possible into, I usually see around the minute 45 mark, as we are seeing right now, and then they push in with all the information that they have in their pockets, and then usually use that to great effect. We saw that on UC Davis's side for the 2 rounds that they won, and I hope we're going to see that again on Arcadia's side, as we are going to be pushing into the building as we speak.
I don't know if Arcadia can actually get that VIP wall open up, so they're going to basically be hindered as to how well they can get most of these walls open, but somehow Animal Mother will actually manage to get one of the back walls opened up near that quadra wall. So it'll allow for some sightlines, but how well can they really utilize this? So far, though, UC Davis utilizing the lack of information as he'll find one onto Kojo. The man advantage now favoring UC Davis as we're down to that final minute, and Arcadia really has nothing to show for wasting these first 2 minutes. They have very little map control, and not many of their players are actually in the building, but luckily, one of the few players that's actually inside Muttgrind's games will pick up one onto Huncho, and another frag will be followed up, but this time it'll be by Animal Mother wielding that fearsome AK-12. Now down to 30 seconds on the clock. we're pretty soon to see the push coming into effect. Bing Bong plays, picking up a frag onto Guac. There is still one ace, though, up UC Davis's sleeves, and that's going to be the Valkyrie player of Chef Gusteau, waiting for the intel to be gathered so he could possibly deny the plant with that C4. Ying Candelas coming out. Legacy now just being pushed into the back of the site of Hookah. That way his vision will not be impaired. Animal Mother shutting him down with a flawless angle, and now it's just a 1v4, but very little time on the clock. If Mutt Grind can actually manage to get this plant down, then Arcadia will have a chance to win this, and there we have it. Chef Gusteau cannot deny the plant, and now this round is essentially over for UC Davis, and even finishing it off right as I predicted it, Animal Mother finishing off the lone player of Valkyrie coming back from the rotation, or the far roam, I should say. And that's a great comeback round win by Arcadia. Now 5-2 in their favor going into round number 8.
And that is just the Valkyrie just did not have our have the C4 that she needed in order to hold that vertical just plant denial a lot better. If they had kept the C4 until the very ending rounds, and then until they planted, they should have been able to deny it and absolutely win the round without even having to push through the entire team as a whole. And that just shows that Arcadia knows what they're doing on the attacking side. They aren't trying anything super complicated. They're going for what works best. They are going for the simplest, they're going for much more simple strategies that end up being a lot more effective, but they are doing it much more carefully, much more methodically, and they are able to catch out whoever gets caught out.
Yeah, I was throwing a little bit of shade at Arcadia because they only had a handful of players that were actually in the building, but they did a really good job on most of the drone work, other than Guac, who was still on a deep roam, and they weren't entirely aware of that, but that's completely fine. One minor hiccup will not put an entire just downpour on your parade, and we saw that just being played right into effect. Arcadia still had complete control of site after the the last 20 seconds, and then they got the plant down. Even though Chef Gusteau was there to try and deny it, it was just not enough time nor enough utility in just that one player's hand. So fantastic work by them. UC Davis now trying to reattempt to go this site, and a very different lineup as we see even more utility being dumped into this defensive side, as now Goyo joins the battle as well with those two Vulcan shields that can just deny a lot of attacking approaches with those flames being in the back of that shield.
We are seeing a lot of gadget play coming in on the defensive side for UC Davis, which ends up becoming a much more laissez-faire type of hold. They don't really need to worry about many walls. In theory, they don't need to worry about many just pushes. It'll be a very direct method, which Arcadia did do for the previous round, and it did it to great effect. They were able to take that direct route and make the most out of it. They were able to cash in those dividends and able to take the next W, evening it out to that 5-2 that we are seeing today. And our Kojo is in Sunrise over here, just peeking out, trying to catch any sort of roamer, and to not much great effect, going to drone out, while Mutz does the same, trying to catch out anyone that they can, gathering that delicious information until we hit that aforementioned minute 45 mark, until anyone tries to seriously push into the building.
Information is key in a game like Rainbow Six that can allow for you to have the element of surprise against your opponent. So I like how Arcadia is doing an even better roam clearing job with these drones compared to their last round. And even then, it was still a fantastic clearing out by them. They only had one minor hiccup that I mentioned previously, but the first half of the round now coming to an end, and it's really only a matter of time before Arcadia gets that back VIP wall opened up, as they already have that part of the map in their hands, and there isn't really much that UC Davis can really do to stop them. Some shots will be being traded out back and forth, and Hookah Lounge or Hookah Balcony will slowly come into the favor of Arcadia as well. It's only a matter of time, really, before they begin to actually go for this execute. They're all just setting themselves up in the absolute perfect position to just pounce upon their prey of UC Davis, breaking even more utility in the process. Yep, down to the... before we see this execute into play.
And as you say, that Animal Mother is able to take that kill onto Blasteria. That is our poor Jaeger just taken down as well. Huncho holding down in our lounge, just still looking for all sorts of roamers, and they're able to catch one out, but I don't think they really even needed to do that, especially with the Claymore already on the staircase. However, they have plenty of time at 35 seconds to even it out to a 5-2 coming in from Animal Mother and Pool Room, while I guess the bell tolls, or the bell bing bongs, or bing bong plays over here as he tries to get the plant, and Pluto also trying to get the plant as well. Everyone's just passing it off. It is going to anyone and everyone as Chef Gusteau takes down Pluto.
Oh, Legacy with the
Oh,
flip
no.
around. He just goes back and forth, and he'll find the headshot on a grind games, and now it's a 1v2, all up to Kojo, and he does not have the carrier in his hands, and very little info to work with. He'll try to go for the free fire behind that half bar top, and he's not going to find any success. UC Davis managed to come back from the two-man deficit and miraculously win that 8th round, and we'll see Mutt Grind Games ending up leaving the matchups. So we'll probably go into a quick little pause for the timer. Maybe go back to cams, give or take, not entirely sure. But so far, Arcadia, they've only really thrown away a couple of rounds here and there. They're still doing very well on this coastline matchup, 2 rounds ahead of UC Davis.
And that is still a decent amount of leverage that they have. However, I'm hoping, according to the chat, or according to the text chat that we're seeing in the actual match itself, he was just kind of kicked out by the game. It wasn't like some sort of quit. It is either some internet issue or some sort of hardware issue. It is something completely out of the control of the players. And honestly, that kind of thing happens. But we are going to wait and see if we can connect Mutt back into our round. And especially with Mutt leaving, with his just absolute stellar performance we have been seeing on both defense and offense, losing Mutt will not only be a deficit to a player, but a deficit to, in my opinion, one of the best ones that you have on your team, whether it is from both callouts or just raw, pure gaming energy.
I think he can join back in time. We're not going to probably have to wait that much longer, especially if it was just a minor game crash. He can probably almost instantaneously join back in with the blink of an eye. So I'm not that concerned, to be honest. But the lineup so far, now heading to kitchen service as there was a victory on that second floor, and a mildly different lineup from both sides. We're seeing Nomad be utilized a lot more by Arcadia as Kojo decides to opt for that pick again, the second or third time in a row, I believe it to be, and also Alibi being on the board as well, which I find to be a very interesting operator. If put in the right hands, she can have a lot of fragging potential and has some great secondary utility of that deployable shield, but if she can't really frag out, I feel like she's more of a wasted pick, as there are plenty of other operators that you can bring on the board that have that secondary deployable shield. Great example, the smoke.
I would have to agree with that. However, I will also provide the point of we have been seeing Mutt and Animal Mother being very flick heavy players. So you can easily abuse that by using the alibi, because I don't know if they're specifically taking the time to look to see if, or they won't take the time to look to see if that is indeed the real Italian or the fake Italian. So either they are going to get caught out, or they will wait just long enough if it's the alibi to where they will get shot by said alibi, and then her use will be just monumentous, in my opinion. I feel like, especially against both Mutt and Animal Mother, it is a very good pick, because it might cause them to either push a lot less aggressively and cause them to slow down, giving UC Davis the breathing room that they so need.
Yeah, I think ever since they added a deployable shield on Alibi's kit, she's been able to be played a little bit more than just, hey, I'm going to just be a fragger, and that's pretty much my only contribution to the team. I really appreciate how they actually have been adding these really helpful secondary utility-based gadgets onto operators such as Alibi, and even Warden, for example, as we saw him basically played 0 to none in actual competitive, but every now and again, you might see him go into play, especially on Cafe, that pixel angle. You don't have to really bring a lot of ADSs or, well, my magnets, for example. You can just sit a Warden right there, and he can use his glasses to counteract that utility being thrown right into his face and be able to hold down some really nice sight lines with that 1.5 time optic. So he's really been able to be mellowed out as a much stronger pick. But that last player managing to rejoin back, Mutt Grind Games, opting to go for the sledge, a little bit of soft destruction to back up Buck in case he gets fragged out way early into this 9th round. So really great lineup by them, and it's only going to be in a matter of time before we actually start this best of 3 back into the swing of things.
And back into the swing of it, we shall be going relatively soon. All the players are in, all the champs are picked. We are good to go. We are good to get this competition back onto the road, back onto the pedal, back behind the steering wheel. So we are going to be going to kitchen and service entrance. which Arcadia held to great effect. However, it was also pushed in by UC Davis, so both teams know how to defend it, and both teams should, in theory, know how to push it, especially with both the picks of Buck and Sledge. As I say that, it is getting 6-picked out, unless it is going to be 6-picked Sledge into Sledge. You never see it coming. Nope, it is Zafia. There it is. That is still a lot of vertical play potential that you are seeing, or that we are seeing on Arcadia's side. That is a lot of vertical defense that UC Davis is going to need to have, which might be the utilization of our alibi, because the alibi only needs to place their fake clones, holograms, onto the field, and then that's her utility. If she dies, they're still there.
Yeah, I actually like the Zofia pick a little bit more. I don't think you need both the Sledge and Buck, and then you can use her explosive rounds to break even more utility, like, for example, the deployable shield in the hands of Alibi, and also those concussive blasts, so you can actually check to see if those holograms are actually fake people and not real ones, but even then, if they don't instantly shoot at you, and as long as Huncho Panda is not going for some Mega Mind fake Alibi plays, you should be pretty much in the clear, so I wouldn't have to worry about it that much, but say it's the very beginning of the round, everything does look pretty standard, just people beginning to work their way into the actual building. There isn't that much to discuss at the very beginning, except for the operator alliance, but we've already done that, so I guess I'll just hand it over to UH. Probably know a little bit more about the coloring of this match.
Well, we are going to be seeing quite a bit. We're going to be seeing Wamai catching out a really good drone position as they were trying to get it into like that upper little balcony thing over by Sunrise Bar, or at least that's I'm assuming where they were trying to go to, with Kojo easily pushing into the entrance of said Sunrise Bar, trying to catch out anyone. They know that there's a Wamai there, or that there was a Wamai there, past tense or present tense, and speak of the devil, that little magnet disc going to catch out a Nomad trap, which is going to be a lot of pressure alleviated from Wamai to try to hold this or to try to roam any sort of flank while they try to push into Sunrise Bar. I think they should try to push much more into Hookah. I don't know if they put any utility onto Hookah at all. So I feel like the vertical play is not only safer, but also in general has seen much more success in previous matches.
Yeah, if we have Guac hold down the fort for a little while longer, he could just do his job perfectly 110% and then just retreat, not even have to worry about losing control of Sunrise Bar. But Arcadia, regardless, still find the opening pick onto the blast area. I believe that was from above, as that was by the player of Mutt Grinds Games, and he'll most likely trying to flush out some players from that vertical play, but as a matter of fact, it was not. He's in the middle of blue bar. Air jab now coming out, and Guac will just get railed by Kojo with the AK-47, and a 5-on-3, again favoring Arcadia as they begin to work their way closer in towards these actual objective rooms. Chef Gusteau, however, on the roam will find one onto Animal Mother. Now down to the final minute on the clock. Arcadia may still have that man advantage, but they have to worry about Chef Gusteau on this deep roam, and if Arcadia does not remain on their toes, this could be another free frag for Chef Gusteau. Active pings coming out by the Alibi hologram, but oh no! The Claymore waiting for the flank by Chef Gusteau. 900 IQ plays by the Zofia, who's already on such little HP, and now it's just up to the two anchors of Legacy and Huncho Panda with 30 seconds to try to stall out.
And that 30 seconds could be the deadly 30 coming in for our Arcadia attacking side. They can't really rush in with much strategy. They don't have enough time to formulate too much of a plan. And we're going to be seeing Huncho, knowing that someone's on main stairs, trying to catch someone out, turning away at just the wrong moment as Bing Bong is able to take down Huncho, with Kojo able to get that second frag into a team double kill onto Legacy, taking the W into our match point coming in on Arcadia favor. And they are still attacking. Do you think they're going to be trying to go to kitchen and service again, or do you think they're going to be trying to go to penthouse and theater?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because kitchen and service is technically the best site on Coastline as a defending team, and although that may be the case statistically wise, I do think you can hold other sites like even Penthouse or Blue and Pink Bar, which I prefer a little bit more. I think you can actually play it like a defensive map a tad bit more, not have to fully rely on frags, but I guess I was correct. Kitchen and service will be replayed again, but they haven't really changed much from their lineup, except for maybe the fact that, oh no, this is literally the exact same, and all the operators are picked by the same person as well. So we could have Arcadia read into this quite effectively and just repeat what they did last time, but just maybe with a little bit more differences possibly. I really don't see that much hope for UC Davis. I hate to be that Debbie Downer, but Arcadia did such a great job of clearing out Pink Bar, getting rid of those roamers up above and near that first floor area of Blue Bar and offices. So I don't see what's really stopping them from just blitzing their way into sight for a second time in a row now and just taking away map number 1 in their favor 7-3.
And we are also going to be seeing the Zofia picked into Sledge. This time we are taking both the Buck and the Sledge, which, as we had talked about earlier, is, or as you mentioned earlier, might not be the most effective use of your resources. Zofia is a little bit more universal in their gadget. However, the Sledge and the Buck will allow simultaneous, just absolute floor remodeling. So they're able to just get that vertical play, they're able to get that vertical pressure, and they are able to hopefully, in the best case scenario, get them vertical kills.
Ever watched Home Improvement, H?
Starring Tim Allen?
Yes, I would like
Yes.
to think like the Buck or the Sledge player as Tim Allen, just picturing that in my mind, thinking of Home Improvement, or even the Kool-Aid Man, as a matter of fact, just shredding through walls. But I'll just keep that little casual bit to myself. And also now you get to share on my secret knowledge of my commentating style. But the play style of Arcadia right now, it's the exact same thing that they did a moment ago. Like I predicted, they'll start clearing out the utility inside of Pink Bar that will probably remove Guac in a matter of moments, but hopefully he can learn from his past mistakes and allow Arcadia to push into Pink Bar a little bit earlier in exchange to keep his soul alive and on the board, to keep it that 5-on-5. But the first minute coming to an end, a gunfight will soon come into effect as Kojo and also the Bandit, or actually the Jaeger player of Blast Area, will try to trade shots between one another, but neither one of them seeming to land.
And we are hitting the minimum 45 mark, and they've already pushed into Pink Bar over here. And Mutt is going to try to rotate back over to, I'm assuming, the Nomad, with Bing Bong already having full control along with Animal Mother, doing just Tim Allen things. They're just able to just absolutely destroy the floor. Our Tim Allen has with absolute full reign over VIP Lounge, with Blast Area holding off Pink Bar along with Guac, using their gadgets to their biggest potential. The impact grenade and an impromptu smoke grenade going to pay off really hard against our Kojo. That is just everything that you want to see. An impromptu smoke grenade on the defense. Just distraction coming in from the impact grenade, just causing enough disorientation for Arcadia to be able to get the 2 kills UC Davis favor. So I feel like it is a 5-3 UC Davis favor, with Arcadia having to push in at 49 seconds left. They're able to hold that Pink Bar a lot more effectively than they did last time, and I'm assuming this is because they slightly changed. No, they didn't even slightly change it. No, they just kept the same thing. They kept the same materials, but had a different execution about it. The Wamai did the same thing, but they had another player in Sunrise able to watch other flanks. And oh boy, RD, both Chef and Guac take down 2 players simultaneously at the 25-second mark, giving it a W. A flawless W for the defending side for UC Davis, evening it out to a 6-4.
Man, these teams really just hate me and my predictions on like how rounds go, because UC Davis just took the cake on that 11th round. Or actually, was it not the 11th? Oh no, it was the 10th one. Now we're going into round number 11. That's my apologies. But a couple of rounds closer from evening things up in towards overtime, but we still have to have UC Davis win 2 more in a row if they even want to get to overtime. Take map number 1 in their favor, and oh boy, Kojo on the Montaigne pick. It might get 6 picked off, as you tend to see Montaigne not get immediately brought in the board. That way it's somewhat of an element of surprise, but oh, Kojo's not picking off of it. That actually might not be the case. We might see a Montaigne play on Coastline, which I have not seen in such a long time, but oh, will that be so exciting to commentate over Age.
Oh my god. Are they going for a smoke plant of any sort? How many smokes do they have on that team? They have 4. They have a total of 4. They might be going for the cheatsy strat, especially since it is on Hookah. I feel like this will be a lot easier thing to pull off on Hookah. Just smoke the site, get Montaigne in there, plant behind Montaigne, have Montaigne just stand on it. I feel like if they're able to get that cheesy strat out, if they lack C4, which they only have 2 of, they have to just bait out the 2 C4s, and they should be able to get that really cheatsy casual king strat to be able to pull that off and get the most out of our Montaigne. Or they could have also just picked the Montaigne to have a very, very safe form of information using the meat shield behind a metal shield.
Indeed.
The meat
Could not
drone. I
agree
meant.
more.
I meant the meat drone.
The meat drone, yeah, he's basically just a human drone. You really cannot deny that. Same thing goes for Clash, except she's like a Twitch drone because she can zap people and is a little bit less mobile, I suppose, but that's besides the point. We're gonna have Arcadia already begin to work their way up in towards Aqua and then right outside of Pink Bar and Hookah Balcony. I don't know if Arcadia's gonna go for a default play or if they're gonna actually work their way into Hookah, but what it appears to be is they're gonna go for an Aqua-sided take. Still do a little bit of roam clearing at the moment as we have two of the players, Bing Bong and Mutt Grinds games, heading in towards that bathroom hatch, but all of a sudden Kojo getting ready to rotate on out towards the position of Pluto. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly Arcadia wants to dissect this 11th round and actually have it work out in their favor, but I really don't think it's going to be that difficult for them as they're bringing out such a wild card pick like that Montaigne pick. I don't know if UC Davis will be able to properly counteract it with such a minimum or minimal amount of utility.
I would also say the Lion pick along with the Montaigne was a really good play because the Montaigne is trying to push in. You can use the Lion to try to catch out any sort of roamers a lot easier because you have to physically try to get around the Montaigne in order to take him down. So utilizing Lion's gadget to work in tandem with defending the Montaigne, you are able to get a much more 360 defense on our said Montaigne with a lot less effort. And our Montaigne has already gotten into Hookah Lounge, stepping back out for a quick breather and a smoke grenade. We might see the smoke plant coming in here soon, folks, and I hope we do. We have Pluto behind. Pluto's planting right now behind the Montaigne. We are getting the casual king shot. 1C4 down. That is a very big utility waste. The only thing our mute has to do is get underneath the Montaigne and then just throw the C4 through that door. Chef Gusteau getting for the plant.
Defuse.
He is getting for the defuse. Kojo not being able to do much of it. No! Oh no!
Oh no!
They tried the casual king strat and it worked for a little bit. It worked for a short amount of time. They were able to smoke it off, but they were able to pressure the Montaigne out very easily out of Hookah Lounge. And I'm very disappointed to say, but the Montaigne didn't cut it. I wish it did. That would have been absolutely awesome to see the meat drone behind the wall of tungsten.
If Bing Bong had vertical play in the middle of Pink Bar, he could have actually covered that plant and then had someone like Mutt Grinds holding down a long angle in towards Cool Vibes, for example. Now, that does sound Megamind and perfect kind of situation that would literally have to fall right into the hands of Arcadia, but it could have happened. And I feel that Bing Bong plays and Mutt Grinds just on the opposite side of the map, not being able to help that plant go down, really put a damper on that parade of the plant going into effect by Arcadia, but that's completely fine. They still have one more round to make up for it. They're sadly not going to pick the Montaigne, and on a site like Blue and Pink Par, that's probably one of the few objective rooms where you'll actually see Montaigne be utilized properly, but we're not going to see him. It was a wild card pick that I mentioned first and foremost on that last round. A little bit of an outlier, if you want to call it that, but so is Blue and Pink Bar. This is the first time we're actually seeing it being defended by either two of these teams, and I'm quite excited to see it actually being played by UC Davis, as they have probably one of the best team compositions to hold this first floor objective room.
And I feel like they are also going to be trying to hold that Hookah pool room, because as with almost every point on Coastline, let's be honest, no matter what point you hold on Coastline, you're actually holding Hookah or VIP Lounge. It is just kind of what happens. It is crucial to hold both of those sites in order to not get the vertical disadvantage, because Coastline is played very vertically and utilizing a lot of sledge, a lot of buck, a lot of Zafia. It is just kind of the thing. It is how people play Coastline. So they are able, so if they successfully defend that, they might be able to pull this out into an overtime, and I could very, very easily see them pulling it out into an overtime with both their team comp and just the skill that we have been seeing in general from both sides. Almost everyone is either even or close to even when it comes to both kills and utility. And as I say that, Pluto's going to get caught right outside of theater, bailing all the way back into main lobby.
I mean, both UC Davis and Arcadia have only won 2 attacking rounds, 4 in total, so this has been a very defender-favorited game of Coastline, and I am quite shocked by hearing those words be expressed from my own 2 lips, so I'm completely in shock. This could really turn out to be any kind of ending situation, but Bing Bong plays. He doesn't want to go to overtime, and neither does Animal Mother. They both find kills of their own. The tables have now, in fact, turned as Arcadia springs back into life like a jack-in-the-box, and they're getting ready to go for this execute, heading in towards Blue Bar from the office side of the map. Lion scans coming out as well. The positioning is just phenomenal by Arcadia. Kojo finds one onto Legacy. The flank comes out by Huncho. He'll find one onto Animal Mother, but there isn't much else that he can really do as they are still down by 2 entire players. And there isn't much more for them to really do as Bing Bong plays now outfrags Huncho. It's a 1v4, making it a 2v4 as Matt Grinds just waltzes his way into sight and just shuts down the final player of Jaeger. Good half indeed, 7-5 victory, almost comeback by UC Davis, but it's a win regardless by Arcadia.
That was just, I am 100% surprised that we did not see our Lion get caught out in Blue Bar. There were just a lot of bullets missed. He had a force field on him at all times. Another, as I'm going to call it, Matrix movie moment. A triple M coming in for our Lion as he waltzes right into Blue Bar. But both teams played phenomenally and went back and forth. And just both teams just absolutely pedal to the metal towards that W. It didn't seem to be fully even either way. It was very, and then in the end, Arcadia was still able to take the W for our round 1 on Coastline.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to see a matchup like Coastline. I think for NECC, I cast for multiple leagues, but this is probably one of the very few leagues that actually gets to cast matches that aren't just Cafe and Oregon the entire time. We actually get to see some really intriguing maps like Coastline and Villa, for example, and I've really missed commentating them, but it's been a great first matchup. I think we'll go into a short little break, and then we will return from map number 2, which sadly will be Oregon.
Or as Infernosis has called it in the past, Borigan.
Yeah, it's a resident sleeper.
It's a resident. We'll catch you in round 2. I have been the letter H, and this has been the Jolly Good Fellow as my co-caster.
Yep. So we'll see you all in a little while, guys. Stay tuned for more.
It's in God's hands. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. We are back to our match of Arcadia versus UC Davis for our NECC Week 5 qualifiers. I am the letter H, just the letter H, one letter, and with me is my fellow co-caster, fellow.
Hey guys, welcome back. Hope we didn't have to keep you at the edge of your seats. We only had to wait for a little while longer, but we're gonna hop right back on into the swing of things. This time though, on a completely different map. We're going to Oregon. This is such a defender-favorited map, as almost every single site you can play quite effectively the exact opposite of a matchup like Coastline, and I think the bans will probably describe that just as well, not only the sites, but what do you think we're going to see for those previously mentioned bans, H?
If I'm going to guess, we're going to be seeing Cade, Mira, Thatcher, and I'm going to call it Hibana or Maverick. You know what? I thought I was going to get those big boys, them big boy predictions. However, I completely forgot about Maverick, but Maverick is a really strong ban, especially for pushing into games room from that master bedroom closet, because you are able just to get that peak going, and then you can have a crossfire all the way into attic.
If Thatcher does not get banned here, this actually will probably remain a very attacker-favorited game of Oregon, and it in fact will be. Jackal on the chopping block for a second instance now. UC Davis might be able to claim a lot more rounds than you would typically tend to see on a game like Oregon, or a map, I should say, like Oregon, as those EMPs can basically remove any type of utility on those main walls and allow for a lot quicker executes and also just much better performances when played in the middle of the actual sites when UC Davis works their way past the hard destruction phase of that round. But Mira, you were correct on that call. H, she'll be off the board as well. And the final ban, drum roll please, it's actually going to be a Malusi. So the exact same two defender bans, but it makes complete and total sense. These are some of the best defensive operators to bring on any of your lineups, and it can allow for some sites to basically be in or unattackable, even with the Thatcher on the board.
And even, yeah, and as you just said, even with the Thatcher on the board, that would make it very difficult. But we also still have the Cade on the board, which would make holding not only attic, but also meeting room a lot easier, because you're able to just electrocute all walls on that big tower side. And we are being picked into a Mozzie from the Cade. I don't know if that's going to be 6 picked out, but we are also carrying a Rook, which is a very interesting pick that you're going to see right now that we're going to keep for the Cade instead. But that Rook is going to really utilize or really depend on UC Davis going much more for the body shots rather than headshots all the time. It is a huge gamble.
I'm not a huge fan of Rook. I think he really doesn't bring much to the table anymore. Back in the day, when you could reset people up to 50 HP, he was actually pretty strong and could be played a lot more occasions. But at the moment, since it's now a 20 HP reset if you get revived from a down but not out state, he really doesn't bring that much to the table, other than his very long-range optic of that 2.0 scope and the very minimal amount of recoil that is in that MP5 that he tends to wield, unless you want to be a madman and run the shotgun. But hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm only here to commentate, so it's not really that big of a deal. Even though I did technically just judge the Rook pick, so it's a little bit of hypocrisy coming out by me. The double standards, they never seem to end. But other than that, Arcadia has a really strong lineup to go up against UC Davis. We're going to have the attacking side have to burn through a lot of the defensive utility to actually get into Addict and that back master wall, which is why I think they have both hard breachers, so they can just at the exact same time, the snap of a finger, get both of those walls opened up and immediately start applying pressure onto Arcadia.
But first, they will have to get pushed in through meeting room and take down the Cade clocks. I'm under the assumption that they put it onto the lower floor. They did not even reinforce meeting room, which they are clearly able to see. So they put the Cade on the top to make it a lot harder to push into attic rather than to push into meeting room in the first place. So they probably aren't going to be holding that as hard for the roamer, but they will still try to focus much more on a much more focused plant, while Animal Mother and maybe Mutt try to roam. And there is no Cade trick to try to counteract Guac, but that is already access going into attic for our attacking team.
We might have to see UC Davis reposition entirely to get that master wall opened up, as well as I believe there's a Kaid Claw onto that double wall area, and that could make things very difficult for Ash to actually get that self-destruction into play, removing the Electro Claw and then getting that main wall opened up. But Mutt grinds on the roam, I believe to be. He'll shut down one. That's Huncho Panda down for the count. And now the main advantage is slowly in the favor of Arcadia. And UC Davis, they still haven't taken advantage of that attic wall being opened up. They're trying to burn through Kojo using their stun grenades to flush him out, but he has a deployable shield to cover his face entirely. So although he's been full flashed, it really doesn't matter. He can still just sit pretty in the middle of Addict. The flank will come out by Animal Mother, but it will be immediately just thrown out the window as Chef Gusteau is waiting patiently for that position to come out into effect.
And Kojo is able to just narrowly get out of that Thatcher EMP, saving his sightline. However, Guac is able to still take him down, despite the fact that his crosshair was still there. Guac narrowly dodging bullet, having a Matrix moment. Just nothing is hitting him, and he is also hitting nothing. And Guac quickly gets smoked out up an attic at around the 40-second mark, with a 4-3 UC Davis favor coming in on the attic push. So this is a really good position for our smoke to be in, because they are able to just absolutely deny any sort of movement coming in through attic. However, they just ran out of Toxic Babes, but you still have the first line of home defense, the Mossberg 12G, to help defend attic, and along with that, the box that shoots bullets, the SMG-11.
That thing put in the right hands can just be a headshot machine. Utilizing that recoil, Mutt Grinds will find a refrag onto Legacy, and a second almost, but Blast Area will win the confrontation. Plant now going down in a 1v3 as Guac picks up the frag onto Bing Bong. Now a 1v2 as Blast Area will be downed, and Pluto has to try to convert this into a victory for Arcadia if he does not want to have that first round in the favor of UC Davis. Will hold down that rotational hole, a pixel angle, might I add, trying to wait for UC Davis to make some type of mistake, but right now they are sitting cool, calm, and collective like a boulder, not moving a single muscle. Only about 17 seconds on the clock now for that defuse. He does not have that much time to work with. He has to get out of that kid's dorm area if he wants to try to find that frag. He'll pick the wrong part of the site, and it's basically hopeless. We're down to 6 seconds. There's no time for Pluto to defuse. He'll pick up a second frag and make it a third. A beautiful shot by him. But it's all for nothing. Fruitless kills, might I add, as UC Davis will win based off of time from that diffuser being planted. Great start by the attacking lineup.
The power of BM is something that you are underestimating, as Pluto is saving that KD, still able to take down 2 more people, but not able to get the defuse. That still goes on to his season record. So at least that looks good on a piece of paper. However, in practice, they were not able to get the defuse, and we are going back up to kids' dorms, and we are keeping the same lineup on top of that, except now we are taking a... No, we had the Bandit last round. That's right. We had both electric lads to attic as well, so we are keeping that going. However, are we going to try to trick the attic wall to prevent much more of a push? It's in God's hands.
I mean, it's possible, but it's really going to be ineffective, especially since Thatcher is, in fact, on the board. I think that's why UC Davis decided to keep him alive and well and not just throw him out the window. Probably one of the very few games you'll actually see Thatcher being played, and this is why, because he allows these main walls like Addict and Master to be opened up almost immediately, and there's really nothing that Arcadia can now do. Tricking the wall is basically ineffective, and especially on this top floor site, as both of the flooring areas that are right underneath the main walls can be opened up by Ash as well, or Zofia, as we're seeing Blast Area opt to go the Polish operator and not the FBI one, but it's the exact same thing. Zofia is basically just an Ash 2.0 with more stuns and less just explosivity, I should say, but it's pretty much the exact same thing.
I would say Zofia is faster than Ash, in my opinion. She is like a ranged Sledge, very similar to how Buck and Sledge both do the same job, but Buck just does it faster and a lot more efficiently. Ash does have a bit of a waiting time, and her gadget can get jammed, but when that wall blows up, she is 100% ready to shoot her gun. She is ready to take that peek out and hopefully get a kill, while Zofia has to wait a second or two until both the bomb lands, and also she has her gun much more at the ready. So Ash is just generally a lot faster and a lot bigger, but Zofia has more utility when it comes to her flash and concussion grenades, and also just in general allows her to... fellow.
You know what? It's okay, man. I think you said enough. It's
Yeah.
completely fine. You know what? Words are hard, H. It's really difficult to be a commentator sometimes. My buddy Chief mentioned that to me the other day, and it made me feel a lot better. So I hope it did the same for you. But Addict Wall now being opened pretty quickly into the round again, utilizing that Thatcher to their fullest potential, and those stun grenades now being followed up as well. It's an exact mirror of what we saw a couple of minutes ago on the first round, and it's only a matter of time before Guac tries to contest that player behind the deployable shield. But as a matter of fact, I think he's already been flushed out. A kill comes out by Blast Area, but a refrag will pursue by Pluto, eliminating Huncho with a efficient headshot, and now things are evened up again 4-4. That's Carrier down in the middle of that master wall. I'm not too sure if UC Davis can in fact grab it from that dead body of Huncho, but if not, they're going to have to win solely off of their fragging potential. And to be honest, I think Arcadia fits that bill much more than UC Davis, and already proving that point to a T, as Kojo denies the carry to be grabbed, almost gets eliminated through that vertical play, but manages to escape death's grasp for a moment longer. But Chef Gusteau will not have that same success. Now 4v2 favoring Arcadia.
Then we have Kojo in master bedroom on death's door, still having the defuse in sight, still being able to hold the cheeky angles that he needs to try to catch out the last two players that have to try to grab the defuse. Going to try to get a cheeky C4 going in on here. It's not going to pay off any sort of fruit unless they tried to fall back. That is a read that is going to not pay off for Kojo, and that sight line is going to be what leads to his demise, and ultimately will just cause the diffuser to be a lot more easily accessible when we hit around the 15-second mark, as we hit the 22nd part of that 20-second meta. However, this will cause them to force two plant, just making them completely immobile, and they will have to depend on each other in order to get that mad W. And so far, that's going to pay off. Pluto's going to get the one kill. He doesn't know where they're planting.
Pluto's right there!
Oh, there we go. Okay, that just got really interesting. Our commentary quality immediately went downward as Pluto just does not see the Zofia planting. The Rook just caught in that mad thick armor vision, mad tunnel vision, expecting a plant in games room, but did not expect a much more ballsy plant by those beers over by Attic.
I almost had a heart attack because I was thinking in my mind, oh, Pluto actually refragged immediately. He can just kill the carrier, or pardon, kill the planter who's going for the defuse, and he checks the wrong angle. He locked eyes with Blast Area. I'm like, oh dear Lord, don't do it. Don't throw like that, Pluto. But thank God he has just enough time to finish off the diffuser before it goes down. So great work by him. And actually, did it go down? I completely blanked on that.
It did completely go down.
Yeah, but right as he finished typing, he still got the kill. I believe Zofia got immediately down, so it basically didn't even get planted. But hey, extra points for Pluto. Yeah, it was actually 10 million IQ. He just wanted more points so he can ensure he's the MVP of the game, as he's already 6-0. He didn't even get shut down the first round, although it was still a loss. But now we're heading in towards Laundry and Supply Room, which is a completely different sight to be held, but surprisingly, although that is a true statement, Arcadia is bringing the exact same lineup for a third time in a row, sticking with plan A and not resorting to a second option.
And also, we are still underestimating the power of just raw BM. Pluto just missing the obvious Zofia planting just might be that mad style points that we are talking about earlier. However, we both entered a bit of an ape mode when that just did not happen, when Pluto just missed out on the Zofia planting. And we are going to be seeing this very, what to me is a very by the books basement hold. I saw a rotate hole into the corner of construction. We're seeing a very stock push from the western side junkyard while Ayana drones in.
Yeah, Arcadia opting to extend outward in towards elbow. You can also call it many things like J-wall if you're completely wrong, or L-wall, but we're not going to talk about that for a quick moment, as Mutt Grinds almost meets his maker a little too early into the round. I'm surprised how UC Davis didn't even hear Vigil get up and immediately dart for meeting room rotation, but that's still going to allow things to be a 5-on-5, and the roam clear not fully committed or finished off, I should say, as the first minute now comes to an end. Not the best positioning for UC Davis, but In a game like Rainbow Six, complete and utter chaos, things can turn or pardon change on the flip of a dime. I'm not all that worried for them entirely. I would probably be more concerned for Arcadia, as no one is trying to push their way in towards Blue Bunker. They're going to need to start repositioning their players to effectively counteract the push coming out by UC Davis.
And we have playing much more the long game on this flank. We have him waiting in meeting room, or at least as we last previously saw out in meeting room, and they have already walked past meeting room. They're trying to catch anyone out, and he is waiting for the prime moment to get the kills, to walk in and get the flanks, and we are going to be seeing Animal Mother taken out by our Zofia out in Freezer as he tries to peek over by Pillar, and Kojo taking down Legacy, as well as we hit a game of peekaboo over by Big Pillar into Freezer, and Freezer to Big Pillar.
Blast area, you gotta hit those, but he'll make up for it. He'll in fact hit those the second time. Pluto deciding to re-peek into Zofia's just tight angle. We're essentially at a 4-on-2 as Kojo is now down but not out. He cannot hold his gun as he is now holding into his chest to stop the bleeding from finishing him off. And we're now down to about 40 seconds on the clock, and UC Davis can convert this properly as long as they begin to go in for the actual execute and not just sit in the middle of Freezer and Laundry Stairwell. They're up the man count by 2, making it now 3 as Huncho wins the gunfight against Mutt Grinds. The plant now coming into effect, and Bing Bong is just all the way in the middle of Pillar and cannot really escape this northern part of the map as the crossfire is being played by that Zofia all the way in Freezer. We'll go for a slow peek onto Bing Bong, and it'll work out just as he anticipated it to go into effect, and Blast Area shutting him down almost immediately. It'll be a second round win in a row by UC Davis, and we're just being filled with just enigmas right now, H. This is an incredibly attacker-favorited lineup on Oregon, and the previous map, it was defender-sided coastline. What is going on right now, H?
Did he just walk out slowly and shoot smoke?
He just hit the quad.
But I think what's happening is that they were expecting a hard push from construction/blue/J-wall if you're wrong, and they weren't able to reposition as effectively as they needed to reposition for a push coming in from main stairway. They were expecting a full push from construction, so that's where all their utility was, so they weren't able to properly ready up for that said push, which ultimately led to the L in round 3 for the win on UC Davis' favor. However, I feel like on this second salty run back coming in for Arcadia, I feel like they should be able to take it back. I don't know if they will even try to hold bunker. However, if UC Davis reads that properly, they might be able to try to push through it. We will see on how they decide to go about the salty run back.
It doesn't really matter how UC Davis attacks this basement floor, as they have one of the best operators to attack on a map like Oregon, Thatcher, and then followed up by Ace, one of the best hard breachers in the game. He brings so much to the table. They could really go however they ever so please to. They could obviously try to counteract that extension going into Blue Bunker, and it would really only take a couple of seconds to just flush out that player behind the deployable shield. But to be honest, H, I think we saw the impact grenade coming out in towards that elbow wall, but there's no deployable shield and no smoke or warden to actually hold it properly, so I don't think it's going to be in a very a well-defended Blue Bunker hold by Arcadia. They have more of a ranked base lineup, bringing the Ella onto the board, another wild card operator, but although this is more of a ranked heavy lineup, it's not all that bad on paper because we all know how well Arcadia can outfrag UC Davis. You have players like Pluto on the board that are 6-1, just shutting down the opposition quite well, and if Bing Bong can see that exact same success, we might see another comeback round win by the defending team.
And I feel like this could honestly go either way. We've seen a lot of competent plays coming from both Arcadia and UC Davis. So I feel like either UC Davis is going to be able to push in effectively against Arcadia, or Arcadia is, as the buzzword from one of the previous matches was, adapt into the pushing strategy of UC Davis as they are going yet again into Freezer. They might have prepared a lot more for said Freezer, especially with the Legion pick. And as we say that, Thatcher's able to safely get that needle out, but they now know they're coming in from Freezer and are just going to be real chill about it.
There's multiple angles that you can actually hold from Freezer, so you can catch players like UC Davis off guard, but Arcadia's not opting to do that. They're going to play a little bit more conservatively. However, Animal Mother will not be following that exact same card, as he will find the opening frag onto Legacy, and Guac immediately trades back with the fragmentation grenade onto Pluto. The top fragger now down for the count, and UC Davis begins to apply more pressure against Arcadia as they find another frag and begin to use those Selmas on the back Freezer wall. Another refrag comes out, this time though by Bing Bong, using that fast fire rate gun of the Scorpion to its fullest potential, and now we're down to 40 seconds. Even man count, make it uneven, as Bing Bong just wide swings onto Guac, eliminating him from the equation, and now we're down to a 2-on-3, the final two players trying to push in from Laundry Room, and if Arcadia is able to possibly use this funnel play effectively in their favor, they could deny the push altogether, as there's only from one side of attack. There goes the C4, landing right onto the feet of Chef Gusteau. No more plays by the Meatball Man himself, and Huncho Panda will find a refrag, but he's got to find two more, and only has 10 seconds to work with. Can he clutch this out, or will it be all over in a matter of seconds? There we have it, a second comeback round win in a row. Constant game of tug of war between these two teams, as the scoreline will be evened up once more, this time 2-2 going in round number 5.
And that is how you activate the fight or flight response in many people. You just see a C4 give you a much bigger issue than a broken nose as you're trying to smoke breach through into that main stairway. And we are going to be seeing a kids dorm hold again, but we are going to be picking Ella this time. We're going to be seeing a Polish operator coming in, and that will have a lot of utilization for the concussion grenades, which, when we saw that frag grenade that Guac did, I saw a beautiful, and I would like to call it out because it was a great moment, a classic 1-2 punch combo, with the concussion grenade being the right long punch, and the regular grenade being the mean left hook that ultimately puts the last nail in the coffin for whoever was holding Freezer.
Yeah, I guess Arcadia are just licensed morticians as to how well they can actually make those coffins for UC Davis, but we're going to have Arcadia redefend up above the second floor, and I don't mind them going here. It is the best site in the game, but I would probably prefer them to actually try to go into either the dining room or meeting room objective rooms, but we'll probably see that go into effect after this round if they end up winning this fifth one, which then I'll get to actually speculate as to how well they can defend those first floor objective rooms. And we see the exact same lineup that was played the prior round on the hands of Arcadia, and again, not a big fan of it, a little bit more ranked style, but at least it's being brought by a team such as Arcadia that can simply just win their ones 90% of the time, and they still have a lot of utility to work with. For example, Kojo, who's rocking the smoke and will be able to stall for about 30 seconds, give or take, from that default attic push.
And we are going to be seeing a push coming in onto Big Window on that kids dorm, along with a hot breach coming in to Big Tower with our Thatcher. A real, just absolute giant play. A lot of guts that we have on Thatcher as we try to push into attic. It's going to happen, and we all know it's going to happen because it is Thatcher. So they aren't really going to try to trick it in the slightest. They're just going to kind of let it happen, while Animal Mother tries to hold out in kitchen and catch out someone trying to anti-roam him. But Blast is going to take the first blood of round 5 against said Animal Mother, who was trying to be the roam, and the roam is now cleared. They no longer need to worry about flanks as much. And speaking of flanking, we have Guac taking down the second window in attic rather than trying to push through that big old main wall.
Great opening frag by UC Davis. That's one less problem to worry about, and they're already gaining traction in towards that attic part of the map. They're going to be able to flush out smoke probably sooner rather than later, and if they are able to eliminate those toxic babes off the board, which they've already done now, realizing this is Kojo has no more utility in his pocket. I almost thought I missaid that, but apparently I did not. On the bright side though, Arcadia will get that back wall reinforced. The rotation hole will no longer be there, and that will force UC Davis to push from one type of avenue unless Chef Gusteau can use his final EMP to get that wall opened up. Blast area, though, opening up a lot more opportunities for UC Davis as he finds the headshot onto Pluto, another roamer down for the count, and Guac finding one onto Bing Bong Plays. This is looking to be another attacker-favorited win as they have the man advantage up by 2, and they have a couple of different avenues to approach from, and it's just all up to Kojo and Mutt Grinds now.
I feel like the bell has already tolled for Arcadia on the defense. However, you still have Kojo and Mutt, but Kojo has already been absolutely pinned down by gunfire, by suppressing fire into that back corner of Kid's room. Mutt finding a kill onto Huncho, evening it out to a 2-3, and then is back to a 1-3 as Blast picks up triple, make that a quad, as Kojo is able to somehow kill Chef, even though I don't think he was even aiming at Chef. I'm pretty sure he was aiming, no, he was aiming at Chef, and then Blast area was just able to catch them out in that backside of Kids Room as we hit our halftime match, which I believe we can see it go either way. It can either be an even 3-3 or a 5-2, and we are seeing a Capcan pick coming in from Mutt Grinds. Switch to Am I.
It got picked off. I was going to be a little bit questionable about it. I've seen it work before. And even in T3, on the rare occasion, it can catch players off guard. That goes for the exact same thing as Frost, except she's a little bit more of a normal pick, I guess, compared to Cap Cannon, because you can use her secondary utility a little bit more. That deployable shield has a little bit more utilization, and also that secondary shotgun to open up some possible kill holes, rather rotations. But it is always nice to ponder as to how well Arcadia could actually use that Cap Can to his fullest potential, but that's not going to be the case. They're going to opt for the double denial, or actually singular denial, as Jaeger, for some odd reason, got picked off. It's only going to be Wamai, and I mentioned this talking point earlier. Active utility versus passive utility. Compared to Wamai and Jaeger, I think Jaeger could possibly be a little bit of a better pick, but at least there is one major difference other than just the utility. It's the fact that 1.5 time optic can be wielded from that MP5K, so maybe some better sightlines can be held, but other than that, a little bit more of a defaulted lineup by Arcadia with a couple of different, minute differences compared to the major ones that we've seen before, like the Ella.
And we are going to be going into our halftime round, seeing a very similar pushing strategy. We already have Guac going into a big tower, but it's being held, by the looks of it, by someone in that balcony in that cheeky hold. We're going to see if Guac is going to be able to catch them out. If he does, that'll be a free attic. Standing up over there, we have Pluto, by the looks of it, trying to catch out Guac. Guac trying to catch out Pluto. They know where each other is at. They know that that one catch will immediately cause the determination of who gets attic, and whoever got attic will be UC Davis, as Guac finds a shot onto Pluto, also eliminating the last of the needles that Legion probably had at disposal.
Yep. Alrighty, UC Davis again finding the opening frag and getting that attic wall opened up with still only wasting about a minute, 2 minutes rough. They are using the stature pick so well. They are getting so much ground covered up and then backing it up with the hard destruction. They are just outperforming Arcadia to such an extent, which is why we're seeing this matchup on Oregon be so attacker favorited. They're actually having these operator picks be played fantastically. And Huncho as well, using the AK-12 to its fullest potential. He'll find one onto Bing Bong. And UC Davis, again, have the man advantage up by 2 and already have attic control fully in their favor. They're going to already begin this execute coming into sight. And I don't know how well Arcadia can manage to convert this, as they're down by 2 players already.
And I don't know if there's much that Arcadia will be able to do about it. Attic is already into UC Davis's favor as Chef takes down Kojo. We only have Animal Mother and Mutt Grinds, the two darlings from our last round, who aren't really doing so hot on Oregon at the very least, whether it's just not their map or it's just not their game in general, or at least their round in general. It is down to 50 seconds at a 5-2 deficit for Arcadia. So they will have to really hunker down and really hit their shots if they want to get any sort of leverage. And as I say that, Animal Mother is finally able to get Guac down, and Mutt dies to Legacy down in Kids Room. It is all up to Animal Mother, who dies and perishes in that back corner of Trophy.
If that frag came out onto blast area, there might have been a glimmer of hope for Animal Mother to work with, but it's not going to be the case. UC Davis take their 4th round win, now going into round number 7. And although they're on the defensive side, they now are going to have that favor of Thatcher being on the board returned to them, as this is going to make Arcadia's job so much easier. But Animal Mother going on the Amaru pick, removing Ace from the picture. I hope that gets 6-picked off. There may be some secondary hard breaches like Buck, but okay, good. It'll get 6-picked off. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good old-fashioned Amaru pick. I love seeing those flashy and glamorous plays when you just bulldoze your way into sight through a window, particularly the one near foosball table. But I do think that Ace is a little bit more practical and a little bit more necessary to bring. I think Amaru is just, again, one of those ranked style kind of picks just to throw the opposition off guard, and it almost worked out, but I think we all know a little bit too much for our own good.
I would have to fully agree with that, although seeing an Amaru pick would have been really great as just a flavor pick coming in for the attacking side of Arcadia. However, 6-picking off into Ace was probably the much better idea. However, I would also like to put up the point, fellow, and I want to know what your opinion is on it. Picking an obvious 6-pick character, such as Amaru or Captain, because you know they're going to 6-pick them. Granted, you don't know who they're going to 6-pick into, but you know they're going to be 6-picked. What's your opinion on that kind of play, or do you think they should pick someone that is totally viable and then 6-pick into someone else who is probably a lot better?
I think the second option that you mentioned is probably a better idea, because if you look at the lineup by Arcadia, they didn't have a hard breacher, and then you just see this bright green operator of Amaru like, hi guys, I'm going to totally not get 6-picked. It really does make UC Davis want to bat an eye and being like, hold on a minute. There's a Thatcher on the board, but no real hard breacher unless you want to count the secondary one being held by Bing Bong plays. But even then, sometimes you'll see that Buck player opt for the stun grenades just to burn through ADSs and will mine magnets much more effectively. I guess you could say I've been kind of using that word as a crutch almost. I do apologize a little bit, as I'm going to be quite repetitive, but it does tend to happen. But this is pretty much the exact same thing that we saw beforehand by Arcadia. About a minute being burned off the clock, but they're getting ready to open up that back attic wall. So it's the exact same stuff that we saw a couple of rounds prior, but this time Arcadia will be the ones to cover this ground a little bit faster compared to UC Davis. And also, one minute thing I'd like to point out, there's no real roam presence on the side of UC Davis. They're going to have to win their gunfights head on in between both Addict and possibly a Deer / master bedroom push if Arcadia actually ends up rotating in a couple of moments.
I feel like they might already have a small pincer attack going on, because we only have 3 people out in Big Tower trying to push into Attic, and the other 2 are just not seen, at least in that Big Tower push, and they've already punched a hole through that Attic. Mute doesn't have a deployable shield to hide behind, so they are just absolutely depending on the raw skill that they might have with that SMG-11, that deadly SMG-11. I feel like a good play would just be to hawk a good old-fashioned C4, and as I say it, it's going to catch Ace out into a 4-5 favor, evened out into a refrag as Bing Bong gets out. Honcho Panda.
That shotgun only will, on occasion, also count as a sniper rifle. That was not one of those instances. Luckily, though, the MPX will manage to injure one onto Bing Bong, and thank God for Legacy as he finds the refrag onto Kojo. And now we're in a 3-on-2 as Bing Bong cannot be revived, as both Mutt and Pluto are on the exact opposite side of the map. Legacy confirming that kill with the gathered information. Bing Bong now being down for the count, and it's all up to Pluto and Mutt in a 2-on-3 with very little time to work with. Mutt going for a very smart and intellectual play as he'll rotate around trying to grab that diffuser, but he'll miss some vital shots onto Legacy, even though he's already low on HP. The refrag will be, in fact, in the favor of Mutt, though, as he'll finish off the player of Legacy. Blast area, though, finding 2 at the very end. UC Davis take the round regardless of a comeback in fruition. It's not going to matter. It'll immediately be shut down by Jaeger in the middle of Kids Room, and that's going to be another round win favoring UC Davis. This, H, is their map.
This is just where UC Davis is a shining, unbreakable diamond at the moment. They are doing the big boy plays. They're wearing the big boy pants at the moment. They are just absolutely demolishing our poor Arcadia here, who absolutely they didn't even wipe the floor with them last round. It was a very even match. It was very back and forth for Arcadia versus UC Davis. However, I feel like UC Davis just has more confidence on Oregon. Just in general, they know how to hold everything. They know how to push everything because Oregon is so well known in the community.
Yeah, Arcadia, I'll give them benefit of the doubt, though. They look to know what they're doing on the attacking side. I really can't say that on the defending side, as they brought a lot of unorthodox picks. We saw the Rook being played almost every single time, yeah, not every single time, but almost. Either that or the Legion pick, which is a little bit more viable. I mean, it didn't matter all that much. Arcadia still found the frags, and that's really what Rook is all about, using that 2.0 optic to its best ability. But UC Davis, they really seem on top of things compared to their prior matchup on Coastline. They're bringing these denial-based operators like the Goyo, even the Smoke as well. They're not going to bring them both together on this round, but they have a phenomenal setup to work up against. They won't extend on out into Blue Bunker directly, but they're still going to be having somewhat of a grip onto that eastern side of the map, as Guac will use his own utility to hold that blue barrel doorway, not making things a complete cakewalk for Arcadia.
And we are going to be seeing a push, a very textbook push into construction. With the lack of a mirror, they aren't really doing any sort of murder holes. They are going for a very much so just turtling strategy to hold construction. I don't even think they're holding that little elbow corner or J hallway if you want to be incorrect about it. They're just going to be holding the primary doorway instead, and that's not going to pay off for Guac, our poor
soul.
Our poor soul. And then we're going to be seeing them already pushing into A site through that said J hallway if you want to be incorrect.
Yeah. If you want to be like Chief and just only say incoherent words like J Wall, I mean, act like you know how to actually read lettering. I know I sure don't, so clearly Chief doesn't know either. But at the moment, Arcadia is doing a phenomenal job on this push. They already have the supply wall opened up, and they're trying to get E-Box opened up as well to gather more sightlines in a possible plant situation on top of having the man advantage. This really does seem to be a perfect round by them, but with Animal Mother having no more Selmas to work with, it's all up to Bing Bong with that secondary hard breach device, and I think he's going to in fact save it for a possible hatch opening. Legacy though, finding a refrag onto Animal Mother that will even things up again, and that's Carrier down right on the main wall. If Legacy utilizes that main wall being opened up with the Carrier right there and finds another kill, this could be all over in the favor, or not in the favor of Arcadia. Rather, the tables will be turned favoring UC Davis as we're down to that final minute. And the only thing looking up for Arcadia, now that I try to calculate this more and more, is that they have this back supply wall opened up, but this could be an absolute death trap if they do not work around it properly.
And I would have to agree with that. Arcadia has a lot of legwork to do in this 4-4 with 40 seconds left on the clock. A lot of fours flying around this game as Mutt finds a headshot onto Chef on B's site, refragged immediately by Blast, followed immediately by Kojo, and the defuse is going down by Bing Bong. Pluto finds Blast area. It is down to a 1, 2, 3, and the defuse is down. It is 40 seconds left, and Huncho has a lot of space to cover, but he did not expect safety Claymore.
Saw it placed all the way at the beginning of the round, if any of you in chat ended up remembering that, but it ended up working at the very last moment. Never count out your Claymores, especially when you have so many operators that can bring them nowadays. But one major problem in that defensive lineup by UC Davis, they had no one watching the supply hot breach, which allowed Mutt to just walk into sight scot-free and ended up finding a kill onto, I believe that was Chef playing the bandit, and then that allowed for a lot of holes to be punched into the defensive lineup by UC Davis and ended up having a plant go down in a 1v3, and there really wasn't much left for Huncho to do, as he was just in the back of Big Tower and had to basically play attacker down the man power, or down the man count, I should say. So great round win by Arcadia. That was a crucial one as well, might I add, because they're only down by 2 now, rather than 3, and they also denied match point coming out just yet, but we're only 1 round away from that actually being a possibility, so Arcadia is still going to have to remain on their toes if they want to end up bringing this back in their favor.
And we are getting a call for a substitution for UC Davis. Whether that is some technical difficulties or that is just time constraints, that is just how the cookie crumbles, and we're going to be seeing another basement defense, a very similar strategy coming in for UC Davis as well. I feel like Arcadia knows how to push into this correctly, unless UC Davis does the thing called adapting, coming into the defensive side, being able to hold off what they pushed in through for the Arcadia side. But by the looks of it, Arcadia is going to be doing the same push into construction. Again, a very standard push, and Huncho able to get a very early kill on the Hibana.
I feel like this matchup on Oregon has been very frag-based. We just saw Huncho light up Animal Mother and eliminate one of the many hard breachers. That's going to force Bing Bong to have to go for that hatch obstruction, and if he gets shut down as well, that's only going to allow possibly E-Box wall and that supply room being opened up, and that's if we don't have players like Huncho able to Kai trick because he has both of his Electro Claws up on the board, but oh man, Guak utilizing that basically semi-Miro window with those slits on the deployable shield perfectly as he finds one for himself as well. That's Mutt Grimes off the board as well. And now I don't believe any type of hard destruction can be on the board. C4 comes out as well. It's not going to land. In fact, it'll be shot right out of the air like shooting discs for skeet shooting. And now things are still looking pretty good for UC Davis, but at least Arcadia has not lost even more blood from this wound that UC has put on into them.
And it is down to the minute 30 mark. We are seeing that good old-fashioned safety claymore placed behind our Ash to prevent any sort of roam, although I do not think that UC Davis has played super roam heavy. They have played very anchored. They have played much more passively. They haven't really tried to go out and try to get the large kills, the large flanks. They have played it really safe, and it has paid off in their favor time and time again.
Down to the last minute, though, on the clock, and there's still a lot of players outside of the map right now. They're going to try to go for this push coming into Laundry, and there's one player, I believe that's Chef Gusteau, who's just not Chef Gusteau, actually. Wow, I saw that outline horribly. It's actually Huncho, the other electric man. He'll try to find one onto Thermite, but Kojo simply wins those. He's down to about 5 HP, but because they won that gunfight, that can allow them to push a little bit deeper into this basement floor objective room. The only problem is there's now 2 more players taking the spot of Huncho, which will force Arcadia to play even more passive into this oncoming execute. And with such minimal time, they really can't afford for that kind of playstyle. Luckily, though, Bing Bong will remain quite aggressive. He'll pick up the frag on the Guak, now a 3-on-3. As we begin to see this push come into effect, Chef Gusteau, though, finds 2 huge kills, make it almost a third, but blast area all the way down from the main hallway will finish off Pluto, and UC Davis now 6-3 match point. The tables have fully turned, as this was the exact same position that Arcadia was in the last matchup.
We're going to see Arcadia put that needle into that red line if we want to see any sort of effectiveness, and we'll see how this substitution, if that is going to be going through. There's going to be a substitution on the side of UC Davis. So we are going to find out even if the substitution will happen, or if we're just going to drop a player. And on top of that, will said substitution be able to be up to snuff for UC Davis's type of play, very type of passive defense that has been causing them to get these Ws, not time and time again, but very consistently.
I don't know who will be substituting for them. It's either Amu or X-Knight, because those are the 2 players that aren't playing right now that we actually had in the roster, and I'm surprised that we actually saw, I believe it was, who was it? It was Guak. I think he's just as a substitute because he's not in the actual lineup itself, but I think that's completely allowed anyways. It's not that big of a deal. most of these teams play very fair, so I'm not really concerned by them trying to finagle their way around some hard set rules. It's probably in the rulebook somewhere, but I can't read, so I tend not to look at those kind of rule books. But I think we might have to actually do a complete rehost unless PC works a little bit differently. I know for console, you have to re-invite someone outside of the game because they weren't in there originally, therefore they cannot join back and take the spot of another person. So Narwhals, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably gonna have to be sitting around for the next couple of minutes just resetting the entire game. I'm sorry for you, man. I know what that's like. I used to observe back in the day. It's not fun. It's a barn burner, that's for sure. It's horrible, man. I'm sorry.
And then I'm going to have to apologize to everyone else that you're going to have to probably see our ugly mugs yet again on the stream instead of seeing some pure maximum throttle gameplay. However, we are going to be trying to invite someone first directly, but I'm under the assumption that we are going to need to go into a full rehost for this match point Arcadia favor. I feel like they will be able to pull this for the second round, and we'll be going into round 3, which do you know what map that is on, fellow, or have we yet to ban that?
Oh, for like map number 3?
Yes.
Like I heard round. Okay, good. It's Villa.
Villa.
And they haven't decided. Yeah, I'm really excited. We only got to see one default map. I call them default maps because they're the 3 most played. There's Oregon, also known as Borgen, complete resident sleeper. There is also Cafe Dostoevsky, which somehow I hate even more because it's the exact same thing over and over again. There is no room for any type of style plays, I guess you call them. No room for any differences or diversity. Then there is also Clubhouse, which I actually like because although it's been around the block forever, almost as long as Cafe, there actually is a little bit of differences you can go into, and I think it's where it belongs in the competitive pool. But what was I getting at? I think I want to dive a little bit more into the actual players that we're looking at right now, even though we are experiencing a substitute, because we're going to be stalling for quite a while. But one player I want to look into quite a lot, Blast Area. I believe he's rocking 17 kills now. He had 16, but with him finding that last kill onto the round, he ended off this this rehost with 17 frags. That's quite impressive. He's really putting on quite a performance, especially compared to last game where I don't even remember if he actually ended up rocking double digits, as a matter of fact, Age.
I'm pretty sure he didn't, even though the match was super close.
I think
even
maybe
though
like
it ended
9.
up in the Arcadia W. Yeah, it came up until like 9. He almost got into that double.
It was close, but
almost hitting that 20 bomb is just such an impressive achievement. Even if he hit double digits last round, or even hit that 20 bomb last round, it's still just as impressive to be able to walk in and do the things that operators need to do to get that job done.
Yeah, I really couldn't have said it any better
Like
myself.
honestly,
Just
there's not much way to put it. And I'm going to go back to that cotton candy and water scenario. Arcadia is now the cotton candy, and UC Davis is now the water. Or well, like the video of the raccoon taking like cotton candy and putting it in water. Yeah.
Oh
Arcadia is the raccoon. The W is the cotton candy. UC Davis is the water.
And they're so happy to like eat the cotton candy. They want to wash it off to make sure it's safe for them to consume, and it gets just evaporated, and it's like, no, raccoon.
It is heartbreaking.
No.
However,
It's
I
so
am excited if we do go into map 3, because you don't see a lot of Villa, especially at this tier of play. And Villa is something where you see a lot more, I'm going to call them whack picks. They aren't necessarily picks that don't work. They're just picks that you don't see very often. They are picks where you just kind of see them and you're like, nice. Or a very interesting just sigh in either judgment or there's a lot of emotions that can happen swirling in the little brains of us casters when people pick interesting picks.
I mean, my mind's basically turned off. I go full Bapega mode, to be honest with you, H, but that's, probably why I make so many errors in my commentating. Maybe I'll have to fix that later on out. But I think Villa personally is one of my favorite maps to commentate over. Playing it, not so much. Don't really have that very coordinated teams when I go into the trenches of ranked. But in competitive play, that's what the game is all about, teamwork, because you actually have a hard set team that you play with almost every single time. On the very rare occasion you'll see a substitute, this is one of them, but even then you'll still have them compete in scrimmages for the most part, so you know how they're going to play. And Villa, it's such a fun map to go over when both of the teams know what they're doing and can actually have pretty default based strats. A lot of roam potential goes into a map like Villa. It's a very dense and vertical based map. There's about 3 floors, give or take. There is a basement one that you can see some roam play go into effect. And if we do end up seeing Villa, we'll probably discuss it a little bit more. But I think for right now, we'll just only cover off the basic. Just a lot of roaming, a lot of hard destruction. Hopefully we see Thatcher be banned, or it might be a very attacker-favorited matchup on Villa. But I believe we have all the players loaded up. We're just going to wait for the ready to go in, and then we'll actually start the game. So we're not going to have to stall for that much longer. So you won't get to see my ugly face.
Woo! That goes for me as well. I believe we are just waiting for the players' moss files to start collecting.
Oh yeah.
To start collecting moss, so to speak.
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, we are going to start back up again, back in the saddle, on the ride down to what I'm going to assume. I am on the heavy side. I'm very bullish for UC Davis taking this into a round 3 on Villa. I'm very bullish on that.
That's pretty fair, especially since they are on the defensive side, which is technically the better side to be on for Oregon. We've actually seen UC Davis, make that statement fairly accurate, although Thatcher is on the board. They've still been winning a decent amount of these rounds, and they're going to head to possibly one of the, if not the best site to hold, kids' dormitory and dormitory main hall on that second floor. And again, pretty decent utility on the board. Castle to deny certain sight lines being held by Arcadia. The Mute and Bandit combination to stall the inevitable of that hard destruction. And Valkyrie on the board as well, just for some possible intel gathering. Maybe a flashy C4 play coming out from underneath, as she can homogenize both that intel gathering play with the black eye cameras and that nitro cell to possibly deny a plant, which we've seen go into effect time and time again, H.
Yes, and on top of that, we are seeing 3 Lego bricks in the forms of C4. We have a lot of C4, so a lot of vertical defense that can happen, especially for Kids Dorm if they decide not to try to lock down the lower floors, or a lot of blind hawks coming into Attic, which we might see coming in from the Mute, from Honcho, if they decide to hold Attic again in opposition to just having the deployable shield, the much more defense. They could just try to get the blind throw to try to catch some people off, or it might get Clay pigeoned out of the air, as we saw happen to our poor Goyo down in construction.
That's the other word I was trying to look for, because I know you call Clay pigeon when someone's on the rappel, but in the actual sport of skeet shooting, it is called clay pigeoning. So thank you, H. It is always nice to hear that little bit of banter from a previously mentioned statement, but so far, everything is still rather calm. We've only seen the first half a minute actually be played after the prep phase going into action phase, and it's pretty much the exact same thing that you see when attacking this dorms and kids room setup. It's the same bread and butter all over and over again for your starting meal. You see that Thatcher EMP going off onto the attic wall, and it's really only a matter of time before Animal Mother works his way into the actual room of Big Tower and gets that back wall opened up. And there we have it. Summa's being activated, and a little bit more ground will be now covered for Arcadia. So it's looking pretty good for them so far, as they've only burned about a minute on the clock again. Really feel like we're seeing that minute timer being used quite a lot so far, Age.
Well, it seems to be the exact time that they are able to first break into the attic wall, as Mutt rotates back over to Big Kid's window, just trying to catch anyone, just to cause them to look over by Big Kid's window, cause less attention to be focused onto Attic. I don't think they're even really trying to hold Attic. They are going for a very laissez-faire strategy by just giving Attic to the attacking side, which I don't think is the strategy you should be going for. The Attic is a site you need to be much more actively holding, rather than hoping that they just kind of run in a bit ham-fisted and just get caught out.
Good one. But at least UC Davis is still holding on by a small thread. I think they'll finally back off of Attic, but We're down to the final minute, and it's a 5-on-5. UC Davis has kept all of their players alive, and they have so much utility to work with all 3 of their nitro cells that can coincide with those black eye cameras and allow for some perfect throws to come on out by UC Davis. However, one of their many nitro cells will be off the board as Mutt will eliminate Legacy, evening things up in a 4-on-4. But if Arcadia cannot dip their toes or go for a full-fledged dive into this pool of the 2 objective rooms, then they are going to be basically hopeless, and we're going to have to go to map 3. This is their last resort when it comes to trying to prolong this overtime situation. Blast area, trying to find some shots. A C4 will be ripped in the background and will not detonate onto anyone on the side of Arcadia, but it is going to keep a little bit of panic alive in the minds of Arcadia as they are desperate when it comes to going for this push. The shotgun shell will find one. The shot heard around the world as it'll pick up one onto Pluto. Blast area following suit, and we're down to just 2 seconds. Make it 1, and now 0. Blast area picks up another, adding insult to injury, and UC Davis will take map number 2, forcing us to go into Villa.
You can't dive into the short end of the pool, especially when you only got 15 seconds to do it, which that is just the bread and butter of Siege nowadays. You get the famous all-time, everyone knows it, 20-second meta. You give the attackers 20 seconds. You just waste their time. Doesn't matter if you kill them. If they have no time to really plan and they have no time to really do much, they just kind of go in and die. There's not much that they can really do about it. And we are going to be going to the aforementioned Villa, which I am very excited for because I also really like Villa as a map just entirely. I think it's a very fun map to watch matches go down. There's a lot of certain strategies that you can do, and I've seen a lot of different things happen on Villa.
Yeah, so we won't really waste much of you guys' time. Then we'll just go into a short little break. That way we can hop right back on into the action, go into Villa, which is one of the lesser played maps, like both H and I have mentioned a couple of times now. But like I said, we'll go on a short little break, and we'll see all of you in a couple extra moments.
I'm going to go on to the assumption that we are. So,
okay.
That was a really good break, guys. Thank you guys for waiting and staying tuned. I am your commentator, letter H, and this is my co-commentator, or my fellow commentator, Fellow.
Well, at least I wasn't lying that time about the break. We literally took 5 seconds, got a quick breath of fresh air, and then just hopped right back on in. But you know what? I'm completely fine with that because going to one of my favorite maps, and probably H's as well, if I can only assume, it's going to be the lovely Italian countryside map of Villa. And already, Thatcher off the board. It's not going to be as attacker favorited as it was on Oregon. So it's going to probably be more of a common and defaulted lineup. Jackal being off the board, though, a little different, but, you know, we've already seen him banned twice. Might as well make it a third time to just really put a number on his playability.
And then we are seeing the Thatcher ban this time, and that is a ban that you see almost everywhere else, and they didn't ban it for that previous round on Oregon, and they paid the price in the name of Arcadia. Arcadia just absolutely got dumpstered. Not dumpstered. I would consider, and I actually want your opinion on this as well. I think a dumpstered round would be a 2-7.
Yeah, or lower, either one. But you can still call it a dumpster, I guess, because I feel like Arcadia had a little bit more mercy round wins. They barely managed to outmaneuver most of the defensive wins against UC Davis. It was not their best showing, but hopefully they can end up winning on Villa as it's a little more attacker favorited. Even though Thatcher was banned off the board, you tend to see Villa now rotating more to a 3-3 split, not the common 4-2 that so many people talk about. So maybe they'll see more success. Who really knows? They're going on the defensive side first, and oh wow, we're just hopping right into ranked. Ella, Capcan. Oh wow, that is a dynamic duo of trap operators at the very least.
We have seen Pluto play very non-meta characters. He was playing Rook last round, and by the looks of it, we're going to keep that Capcan, which will slow down the opposition. However, However, I don't think it's going to do much to slow down said opposition. We are going for a bit of a trap operator strategy. We're going for a very gadget dependent, but not really, like literally a much more gadget dependent strategy. All the gadgets either reveal the locations of the attacking side or just straight up damage them. So that will ultimately end up in a slowing down of the attacking side, and they are hoping that if they slow them down even further, they can get to that delicious 20-second mark at minimum.
Hopefully, but you don't have actual stall operators like Smoke or Goyo on the board. Other than Malusi, that's the only actual stalling-based operator, because for the Capcan EDDs, and about 50% of the time for those Ella Gers mods, you can actually just shoot them outright. So that's a lot of utility that can just be basically flushed down the drain, pretty much. So if UC Davis actually manages to just burn right through all the utility on the side of Arcadia, they're basically hopeless, and they're going to have to just win their gunfights outright. But even then, I still have a little bit of faith in them, as, like I've said before, I'll say it again, Arcadia is very gifted with their mechanical aim, and they've been able to outfrag UC Davis more than one occasion on both maps as well.
Mm-hmm. We are seeing, as I saw from the view of Huncho Panda, they're having a lot of really cheeky drones. They have a really good one in astronomy, where it is just completely hidden on the shelf. They can easily catch out anyone who is watching that sightline. But also, we are going to need to see how Knight ends up performing as the substitution. He is our ace in question, and an EDD goes off on Nomad and Maverick, already paying off for the Capcan. That is a whole player's health of damage coming in from one EDD as they all try to shove in at the same time.
Oh, at least Huncho will make up for it a little bit. He'll find an opening frag onto the deep roamer of Mutt to now make things a 5-on-4. And although UC Davis has the health disadvantage, they have the man advantage, which in theory is going to be a little bit better for them in the long run, as long as they keep that conversion in their favor. And they begin to make a little bit more progress into the map, moving from north to south as they try to get control of that 90 corner. And there is one player on the side of Arcadia trying to deny that fably mented push, and another EDD lighting up a third player. Now half of the roster by UC Davis is on less than 50 HP, and Chef Gusteau one shot away from just being brought down 6 feet under, buried in the ground. It's not looking all that good for UC Davis, even though they have the man up, just because of the fact that these EDDs have actually been able to work out for Arcadia as more and more time is being dwindled down closer to 0 seconds.
I like how we were just absolutely dogging on this Capcan, on poor Pluto. We were just dogging on him in the beginning of the round, like, oh, Capcan's not going to work out. And lo and behold, it has resulted in the death of Chef, where UC Davis has effectively, has health-wise 3 players, but effectively 4. But you only really need to sneeze on either of the half-health players in order to take them down. And as I say that, our Ashe is taken down with our Capcan on just a mild breath of HP as we are hitting that 10-second mark. Those Capcan traps successfully slowed them down and successfully hurt them in the process. With 6 seconds left on the clock, I don't think they can land that plant as Bing Bong takes down Legacy. I think this might go into Arcadia's favor. Just the Capcan worked. It was the big brain.
I mean, it can, and I'm glad it did.
I want to see it again. I want to see it work again.
You know, I want to see it again too, because if UC Davis loses another round to the Capcan, that's entirely their fault. There's literally nothing you can say about that. They're aware that Capcan is an option that we can see Arcadia bring to the board, and oh dear God, they're doing it again. Are they going to confirm it though? I kind of hope they do it. I've been kind of liking these really off-branding picks just because of how rambunctious this has been. And oh yeah, they're not even going to attempt to go for a fake 6 pick. They're just hard blocking this. Oh boy, this is H. I think we're in for a wild ride on that. I think we've got a little bit more than what our money was worth.
As I put on the end of a lot of Steam gifts, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. We gotta get ready for Pluto, the off pick. That is my nickname for Pluto. because they picked Rook last round on Oregon, and they used that to great effect, getting 6 kills, going 6-0 when they picked Rook. And when they switched to someone much more viable, such as Legion, they weren't able to pick it up. I feel like Pluto thrives on the off pick.
Apparently so, because he's gone Rook last game, down to 3k. He's going Capcan, and he found 3 assists. He brought 3 separate players on under 50 HP, and that allowed them just to be immediately swept off of their feet and brought up to the heavens as they were no longer in play. I mean, he could really run any operator he ever so pleases to, and it's just going to simply work out for Arcadia for the most part. And you know what? We're talking about off-meta picks time and time again. H, do you think we'll see Caveira? Do you think that's going to happen?
Do you think we'll see? No, we will not see Cav. 100%.
I don't think we will, but it is nice to think about because Caveira is one of those high-risk, high-reward operators that can, if she gathers an interrogation and that opening frag, then that's basically the entire attacking round over for UC Davis. It's far too much intel to try to counteract. So if Caveira does get played, then it can really work out for either team. But Arcadia still just mopping the floor against UC Davis. They find another opening frag onto Legacy, and that is so much active utility thrown out the window. That's your flank watch of Nomad taking off the board. That's a phenomenal opening pick by Arcadia, and they are still trying to hinder this roam clear coming out by UC Davis.
And like the reason why I don't see the Cav pick is because we're seeing a lot of off picks for much more utility-based characters. Because Pluto is our off pick, but I feel like he doesn't do anything whack or do anything high risk, high reward, such as Cav. He goes for operators where if they die, such as how they did just now, they still have the Capcan traps down. They are still heavily useful, and I'm pretty sure Blast Area just ate one to the knees again. They are just rushing in a bit ham-fisted.
Oh yeah, and Animal Mother, he's fully committing to just slowing down the roam. He does not care if a refrag comes out. He still wants to add more to his kill-death ratio, but Bing Bong will in fact add more, padding up his stats a little bit as he now goes 2-0, finding a player of Huncho and taking him out of the picture as well. Kojo as well, very frisky clear coming out, or rotation slash flank. He'll try to find one. His crosshair placement is almost perfect to a T, but Knight will manage to find the kill regardless onto Kojo. And oh no! From the grave, Pluto finds one onto Knight. We talked about the Capcan traps, and UC Davis is not even attempting to look for them anymore, and it's now forcing them to be in a 1v3 position. Blast Area picks up one onto Animal Mother, but if he cannot get this revive, it will end up being a 1v2 with the man advantage favoring Arcadia, and Mutt going for a very aggressive push. They could find this cross peak, but they won't even need to do that as Animal Mother, or pardon, I believe it was Bing Bong on the Ella, it in fact was, I corrected my mistake. He'll finish off the lone player of that Zofia near landing, and my god, this Capcan pick is just bringing so much to the table right now. It is, oh my god, how are they getting away with this?
Okay, see, as local Capcan player, because I really like Capcan, the best strategy to play Capcan is you first have to adopt a certain beverage. It is an acquired taste. It's called Elmer's School Glue. And you think, am I dumb enough to run through this door without checking? If the answer is yes, put it there. And 9 times out of 10, I've experienced you will get a Capcan trap off there. I'm surprised that he got a kill off of Capcan traps though, and that was solely Capcan traps. There was no gunshots exchanged. Well, no, that was Knight. Knight got some gunshots exchanged. I don't know if he got hit though, and that is still a kill with a Capcan trap. And on top of that, I saw Huncho Panda also eat one to the kneecaps along with Blast Area. That is 3 Capcans at minimum. You are at a positive if you hit even one Capcan. And on top of off-meta picks, we are going to be seeing another Rook pick coming in the hands of Mutt. I am just, this Villa game, I am already so happy about it. I'm so happy to see Capcan get a kill from the grave with that. Oh my god. Pluto is just showing his maximum IQ plays. His IQ is so high, it has gone backwards. It has just absolutely reset back to 0 because of how, in my opinion, you should play Capcan. Capcan has
mean-
always been a bit unga bunga in his trap placement if you want it to be good.
I mean, Pluto, you can tell he's really mastered his craft when going Capcan or any off-pick operator. He is just the off-pick player, I guess you can call him that. He has 5 assists.
Okay.
Like, I mean, he's imagine he goes double digits in the assist category. I might have to give him MVP in my caster poll because it's unheard of. How do you rock double digits in the assist category out of all things? Not the kill bracket, but the assist one. That is just unheard of, Age.
Okay. I almost interrupted you because we have Hail Mary hostage killer himself live and kicking on Villa Fuse. We have Fuse on the UC Davis side, the absolute Hail Mary character coming in. We are seeing a lot of off-meta picks that you wouldn't see. And questions, will they use the Fuse to great effect? We are seeing a Fuse being placed down right now. He has it out, and that is not going to pay off in any sort by the sounds of it, unless they got a lot of utility destruction with said Fuse. However, I don't think it's going to be placed just as well as Pluto has placed their traps. Pluto just knows where to put them.
Oh, wow. That is just horrible situational awareness by Legacy. Kojo gives him a literal bear hug with the barrel of his gun and finds one. He won't get a second, though. Blast area knows far too much for his own good, and that's going to bring the man count back in the favor of UC Davis. And honestly, H, back onto the Fuse pick, I love the fact that he's brought on the board. I think he's an underrated operator, as his Fuse charges put in the right hands, they're not meant to go for the frags. They're actually meant to just burn through the utility of Arcadia. And although they don't have a lot of that utility that we tend to see, like the Goyo or even a lot of ADS and Wamai combos, you can still utilize it quite well. And Arcadia, utilizing the low recoil gun of that Division 9, he'll find the headshot onto Chef, evening things up once more. And we're down to about 30 seconds. This is not the worst position for Arcadia to be. They just have to deny this push coming out into Tetris from Laundry, and so far Bing Bong is doing that quite well as he'll pick up the headshot on tonight. Pluto just what a shot on the blast area. It's just up to Hunch Panda now. In a 1v2, he'll find one onto Bing Bong, but Mutt grinds. Although that P90 does minimal to no damage, it was the fact that Ash was on 10 health that there was only one shot necessary to shut her down, and Arcadia take the flawless rotation 3-0 with a literal ranked lineup.
I am going to point out, whenever I'm talking about these off picks and I sound like I might be insulting them, I 100% respect these off picks. However, I just realized that was a P90 Rook.
I was going to mention it earlier, but I didn't want to. And then I was able to later on. Now you get to discuss it.
Oh my
Very
god.
happy.
We are seeing some mad offhand plays coming in, and it's paying off mad dividends. We are on round 4, and Arcadia's up 3 rounds, and we're seeing Rook 6 picked. And this isn't even a fake out 6 pick. They're like, oh god, they could take the Rook, and he'll be devastating. But now they're picking out a Malusi, probably for the primary realm. We're still keeping Pluto on those EDD grinds. And honestly, they aren't hitting as many EDDs anymore. However, they are now so wary of them that I feel like that is killing enough time that it's still worth to keep the Capcan. However, a really funny pick or a really funny strategy they could do is they could 6-pick the Capcan out for 1 round to just fake them out and be like, oh, we ain't going to play Capcan no more. And then pick them back for the last round so they probably go back and still hit some Capcan traps.
I would honestly like to see that a little bit more as well. I think that's actually a pretty decent idea. And oh god, what was I going to mention now? Well, one thing I can point out at the very moment is that Huncho Panda is rocking the IQ, so that's going to possibly counteract Pluto a little bit more. And actually, remember now what I was going to say. Pluto, not only is he finding the assists, he's also finding the frags. He's now going 3-1, only dying a singular time. And that was, I believe, on the round where his Capcans did the most work. So it's not even that big of a deal. Yes, because that EDD actually ended up giving him a refrag, essentially, and bringing his KD 1-1. But Arcadia, they really just seem unstoppable at this point. They're an immovable object, or actually no, they are just an object that just keeps moving forward and forward as they keep taking these round wins and progressing further and further to a possible 2-1 map victory. And oh, Animal Mother not being spotted by the drone, he might actually be able to catch somebody on the side of UC Davis off guard, and he's playing so patiently right now, waiting for UC Davis to fully commit into that study take. I really think Animal Mother is going to just go on a heater of a round. He hears the sound cue by that Selma, and oh no!
There was no!
By blast area, and insult to injury kills off the Zofia anyways, and already it's a 5-on-3 yet again for a second time now, H, and there's still a minute 30 on the clock.
Oh no, Newton's third law has just not applied in this match right now. Vela, it just seems to be Arcadia's go-to map. It was Oregon for UC Davis, and UC Davis was able to pretty much wipe the floor in the final rounds with Arcadia. Now Arcadia is doing the same. They are returning the full favor as Animal Mother takes down Huncho Panda. That is, in theory, 3 kills for Animal Mother if you count the TK.
Oh my god.
No.
Animal Mother, an object in motion, tends to stay in motion, and he is just darting all over the place, almost finding another one. As Chef Cousteau misses out on some vital shots, he might have the second chance to re-peak this and end up making up for his past mistakes, but I think Animal Mother will finally cool down just a little bit, holding down a tighter angle behind that couch, and there we have it. Animal Mother, a technical quadra kill as he picks up the headshot onto Chef Cousteau, and Legacy will try to repeat the exact same angle before repositioning in towards bookshelves as he gets lit up from the player near 90 corner, and Animal the kill, confirming the 4K, almost an ace if it was not for Blast Area finding that first frag of the round. Oh my god, H. What a performance by Arcadia.
Oh my
4-0?
god. That was a 4K, but I'm going to call it a 5K because if that team kill on the side of UC Davis did not happen, I'm almost 100% certain Animal Mother would have picked it up. So that is a technical 5K if you want to be just correct on that. And just, you were correct when they said, hey, they didn't catch the bandit, the drone didn't see him, they're going to go on a tear. And they did. They caught the sound cues, they used their ears, they were able to find their shots into the enemy where they needed to go, and we are seeing counter picks. We are seeing counter off picks coming on. Both of them that I fully respect. I fully respect both the Cali and the Capital picks, because Capital is going to be able to lock down those choke points and also have them insta smokes, while Cali can just lock down a full hallway, and you have to respect that, lest you be in the alternate universe where you get shot.
Capital is probably one of my favorite operators to play. He brings so much to the board, especially when there's no Wamai pick. Wamai is his only direct counter in the game as of right now, 1 season away from year 6, year 5, season 4, and he brings so much to the table. The asphyxiating bolts, or fire bolts, as most people call it, and also those smokes can impair the vision of Arcadia and also deny certain choke points from being held by Arcadia to allow a possible plant. And also, on the offhand occasion where you need that secondary hard breach to come into play, Legacy is right there to fill in that gap in your team lineup. So I think he should be used a lot more, and back in the day that was actually the case, as he did have stun grenades to go along with his kit, so he was just an ADS just dumpster. He was just throwing stuff at him and burned through him quicker than fire burns through paper.
And speaking of fire, I want to know your opinion, as you are also a fellow Capital connoisseur. Since they both have the same fire rate, are you on Team LMG or Team Para?
Para simply because of the mobility, because he's a 3-speed operator. I think you should try to use that a little more effectively, and the reload time. Don't get me wrong, I've used both guns and have a soft spot for both of them, but I believe the Para, in most situations, it's a little bit better just because of that reload time, but we're not going to really be able to find out how well Legacy can utilize that Capital pick, as Animal Mother, again, finds the opening frag and shuts down so much active utility, but oh my god,
No.
Huncho, you can hear that sniper rifle rattling off in the distance as he finds a refrag almost immediately onto Mutt, evening things up 4-4 as we begin to see UC Davis work their way into the building, going underneath to possibly break off those bandit charges, or at the very least, flush out any possible roamers.
And that is a really good pick because of the active utility and passive utility that we've been talking about as of late. We're going to be seeing Knight in Master Bedroom trying to make most out of the holes that he has just punched through, with the Cali also peeking through said holes, which is a very good use of Cali's weapon specifically. Because there was a Cali earlier who didn't necessarily utilize their weapon, but utilized their gadget much more. And we're having Kojo get onto the cheeky flank in Master Bathroom, trying to catch anyone out who might be peeking through. But they do, I hope they do realize that the Cali is holding onto that angle. They have to respect that, lest they lose their life.
Especially back in the day when Cali could one-shot any operator consistently, but oh no, it's
There
a
it
sea
is.
of blue as Kojo and Bing Bong find kills of their own. It's just a 2-on-4 now, up to Blast Area and Chef Gusteau. The Goo Mine coming out and the Gersmont landing onto Blast Area's head will give away his intentions that he's working his way up towards Astronomy. A gunfight will go out between both Kojo and Blast Area, and neither one of them claiming to be a victor, except for the fact that Kojo is wasting so much time against this push. Chef Gusteau finds the headshot onto Animal. Blast Area wide swings on the Bing Bong, picks up a kill, but the plant cannot go down. As the diffuser is down, they can simply play off of time, and Arcadia will do just that. The defenders, regardless of the 2-on-2 coming into play and evening up the man count, it's not going to matter as UC Davis cannot mark it off of that simply due to a hindrance in time. And now we're 1 round away from match point and 2 rounds possibly away from the map being over if Arcadia clean sweeps on this matchup on Villa 7-0. Do you think they have what it takes to do that, H, or do you think there will be a little bit of hope remaining for UC Davis?
I am 100% certain. I don't want to say that UC Davis is down and for the count, but judging by just the raw advantage that they have, plus the cap can, plus the sub, granted the sub is a new fresh set of hands and eyes to be playing the video game, I don't think that they'll be able to take it back. They might be able to take 1 round, but then Arcadia switches to attack. And unless UC Davis does something similar to a cap can pick, or just something so off the wall that it's just you're not used to it, I feel like Arcadia already has this in the bag, whether it's a clean sweep or a 7-6.
Believe me, I hate when the rank strats come out, but when they work, oh my god, they're so much fun to commentate over. It's really a blast because you get to see far more action than what you normally would expect, especially on such a more slow and cumbersome map like Villa. So it's been an absolute treat, but UC Davis really could be punishing this so much more. They could be bringing out the operators like the IQ more and more, just doing a slightly better job on the drone game, trying to clear out as much as possible, but also try to keep most of their time on the actual clock and not just burn it out completely. And what it looks to be, UC Davis is already doing a little bit of a better job when they're now attacking into dining room and kitchen, as they're already up above near that back balcony, and they're beginning to clear out both the very top and very bottom floors of that basement and second floor. Vertical play could possibly come into play, and that could give them a bird's eye view of the objective rooms and possibly flush out some of the players on Arcadia that have been, for the most part, giving them so much trouble. But Pluto finds 1 huge frag onto Legacy. There we have it again. Legacy having to sit on the bench for another 2 minutes, and so much active utility gone and off the board for another time. The several one, might I add, as there goes all of your flank watch, and even more hemorrhaging will occur, as Scott would like to say it, as Mutt finds a kill on to Huncho, and oh man, it is just getting worse and worse as Blast Area takes an EDD to the knees, and even more so, Pluto gets away off the rotation and manages to fall back underneath this is just all collapsing into the hands of UC Davis.
I hope we see Pluto somehow get this 10 assists on Capcan, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're only going to be seeing it at an 8 assists as we see Animal Mother taking down another player on the team of UC Davis, while Knight gets caught in a gunfight out on the terrace right outside. They don't really have too much time to work with when it's only 2 to 5. They only have a minute, and we're going to see Animal Mother absolutely punish Knight. And then Blazier catching out Animal Mother for that refrag, absolutely scaring Pluto over there. He is just being absolutely terrified. He is an animal caught in a corner as he's killed on those main stairs. Blazier has already evened it out a little bit, down to a 2 to 3 with 40 seconds left on the clock. He doesn't have too much time. However, I feel like they might be able to make something work, but he might run through this EDD unless he clears this out. I don't think he's going to try to clear it out. He has been blinded. I don't think he saw the EDD unless he tries to run through that. I think they realize that there is one. Is there EDD on that door? I know there's one on the main door going into point. There is not. He is a very lucky contender.
Playing a very dangerous game.
It is a game of gambling. No, I wanted to see the EDD kill. There was one on that main door. So I can guarantee you, if he got that Ella, he would have just ran in. I wanted to see another EDD kill. So we are going to be seeing a 6-0 Arcadia favor on Villa as we finish our halftime round and Arcadia goes on to the attacking rounds. Whether UC Davis will adopt the strategies of the Reptoid Capcan, or if we're going to be seeing a very stock defensive strategy, a very much more accepted strategy, which by the looks of it, we are already going to be seeing. We are seeing a lot more standard picks, except for the Cali on attack in the hands of Animal Mother.
I was going to say, one of these players is not like the other, and I guess it's going to be Zofia because there's no hard destruction technically on the board, so Habana will get put into action now. Probably would have preferred the Thermite a little bit more, seeing that that bar wall opened up a little better, but, you know, Habana, I love her to death. She's the queen of hatches. She still has her place in competitive play, and, you know, as long as you have your place, then there shouldn't be a problem with you being in the board whatsoever, unless you're just blatantly overpowered, but I don't think we have that many more operators like that anymore. But UC Davis, their moral game is probably very lackluster, if not non-existent, because they're down 6 rounds, 1 round away from losing the entire best of 3. It doesn't even matter what happens, because once this game is over, if they lose, then they're out. Like I literally just said and got lost on my own words. They're going to have to win flawlessly 6 times in a row to even get into overtime, but even then, they're going to have to win at least 2 more rounds after that, basically just trying to do the exact same thing that Arcadia did to them, but 10 times better, because they are not in a position to call the shots against the absolute gunners of Arcadia.
And we are seeing a pure southern spawning, but I would say that Hibana is probably a better pick for the than Thermite, specifically because we're keeping the Cali. The Cali doesn't get does Cali get mute jammed? I'm pretty sure she doesn't, or you can position it in such a cheeky way where she doesn't and still destroy that mute jammer, and then the Hibana benefits greatly from the range of that. I feel like they just complement each other a lot better, and you can get that breach a lot safer in. However, I feel like both would have been very fair picks, and we're seeing the Maestro Cam instantly destroyed by our said Cali.
I mean, you can, it doesn't really matter if you pick the Thermite or the Habana. I just simply think that it could be a little bit better for Thermite, just so you can get a really big, you know the word, wall coming right up. But actually with both Kaid and Mute being on the wall, I think Habana might actually be put in a better spot here. And those stun grenades can be very helpful as well. It's all just personal preference. I think both of them are fantastic ops, and I love playing both of them as I am a support player at heart. But at the moment, Arcadia doing many supportive things. They're trying to get that main wall opened up in from study towards aviator rooms to the proper sight line onto that hunting doorway, not opting to open up bar just yet. And now they're going to back off it for a couple of seconds. Chef Gusteau finding one onto Animal Mother. That's going to bring the man advantage in the favor of UC Davis. And the top fragger now gone. This might be a little bit more difficult for Arcadia to convert into a victory, but they still have a minute to work with. This is very doable, but they can't lose any more manpower, because if that does happen, then you're probably going to see some type of funnel effect come out by Arcadia, and that is where UC Davis can simply outshine the opposition, as they have players like X Knight on the Maestro to just shred through their bodies like paper.
And then that laser is just going to do a lot of damage, and especially for the plant denial, that might come into large use within these 45 seconds in this last round. But it is down to a 4-5 UC Davis favor. 4-4. Speak of the devil, Muckgrinds takes down Blast Area, and that is a very strong fragger on the side of UC Davis. We're getting a lot of pushing power coming in from our off-pick champ, Pluto and Mutz. We're getting a plant right next to that vault door. Do they? Yep, they do realize it, getting that cheeky C4 through that vault door, able to deny that plant with 15 seconds left on the clock, getting a lot more aggressive. Chef Gusteau able to get that triple, and then now it's down to a 1-3. Kojo down to 10 seconds, and this is UC Davis bringing it back a little bit, getting that little bit of leverage that they might need to redline to the finish in order to get these 6 rounds in a row. They still have a huge mountain to climb, but after watching that defensive round, I feel like they'll be doing a lot better.
They've really dug themselves in a very deep hole. I don't know if they're going to be able to climb out of it, but it's a small start. They're taking apart this building brick by brick, piece by piece, and that's how you really want to go about these kind of round disadvantages when you're down by a 5-round deficit. It's very taxing on both your moral and probably just your physical stature, because you've already been playing 2 maps, now make it the 3rd one, and you're at your wits' end. It's very demoralizing for the most part, but it's a small start for UC Davis, and they're not going out without a fight, not yet at least, as they now try to go in towards trophy and statuary. And this is, I believe it to be, the exact same lineup that they brought on Aviator and Games Room. And to be honest, you know how the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We had players like Chef Gusteau just anchor down into the actual objective room and just eliminate most of the players on the side of Arcadia. And if he can do that again on the Kaid with the 1.5 time optic, I really don't see a problem with him rocking it again, or basically the entire lineup by UC Davis's. They did a great job on their first defensive round.
I feel like UC Davis might be able to take it on this defensive round. They may not have a lot of pushing power when it comes to attack, or they had no idea how to deal with a cap can in those beginning rounds, and then the tilt just kind of set in from dying to a cap can. But with that little bit of leverage, that little bit of morale that might have increased at the W on the defense, that might be the little bit of push they need to be able to take it down all the way to that last end goal and bring it maybe to that 6-7 that I was talking about. Or that 6-8 that I was talking about. But with the Lion pick on Mutt and the Twitch pick on Kojo, they will be able to catch out a lot of things, gadgets and people alike.
Indeed, I agree completely with that. And right now, Arcadia using a little bit of gadgets to work their way into the actual building of Villa from the southern side. They're going for the roam clear first and foremost. And right now, there's no one really playing near that part of the map except for Huncho, of course, as he now repositions in towards Games Room. Now going in towards Hunting to go for a possible reposition. The impact grenade for a possible escape route. He'll utilize it quite well. And oh my god, what a shot onto Animal Mother. That's the top fragger again, just taken off the board. He is going to have to sit this one out for a little while longer, and the almost away by Huncho, but Bing Bong claps back onto the head of Huncho, and now things are evened up again, 4-4, and that's the main roamer taken out of the picture as well. But still have players like Blast Area that were previously on the very bottom of the map and now can begin to probably work their way up to try to just outmaneuver Arcadia possibly, as they begin to get even more map control from the southern side, now moving northern.
And that is a great advantage that we're already seeing ourselves at of Arcadia versus UC Davis. That is Huncho down. That is probably their primary roamer, I would call it, taken down. They don't need to worry about it nearly as much. They still need to worry about Blast Area and maybe Legacy, but I'm pretty sure all of them are doing much harder anchors. We see Pluto getting a small glimpse of him, but not able to catch that kill. And Bing Bong also getting caught in a bit of a bind at the minute mark. Mutt trying to get a view on him, able to light down Knight, not able to find the kill, able to get it on those last few bullets in his magazine. Able to get that last kill. I hope those Maestro cams were in good positions because they will not be moving no more. They are frozen. Kojo going down, Mutt finding another kill onto Legacy. I feel like it can go either direction here.
It's down to the wire, last 30 seconds of the round. Pluto just in the middle of sight, trying to find another kill for himself. The plant being confirmed, in fact, by Ash, but Blast Area in the perfect place at just the right time. He'll find a third.
Oh my god!
Down for the count, but the kill from the grave! It's
That's
just a 1v1 now, all up to Chef Gusteau, but he wins the fight! And Bing Bong now being taken care of. It's another crucial round win for the defensive lineup of UC Davis, and they are still alive and kicking up against Arcadia. Now going into round number 9, 6-2, match point and map point. They're still holding on by a thread.
We saw our poor Jaeger absolutely eat some wall, probably got a concussion, but we were still able to get the final kills in order to take the round for a W for UC Davis. They already got some steam going. They already have what they need. They know how to do it and they know where to do it. The question is, will they be able to continue this momentum onto dining room and kitchen, which is the tertiary point? If they are able to keep this momentum going, I'm pretty sure they should be able to carry it all the way to the finish line, or at least to an overtime match on Villa.
We haven't seen a single round win come out on the attacking side of either team. Arcadia was defending the first rotation. They won every single time. And UC Davis, they're returning the favor quite successfully. They have not given up a single round as well, and they don't have the luxury of losing any more rounds. So this is either going to be a complete defending-sided matchup on Villa, a complete fortress or stronghold of a map from what it appears to be, or Arcadia will end up being the outlier of this final map, and they will manage to execute up above very efficiently, go for that vertical play, and just immediately take advantage of either just the better sightlines and positioning or the man count, which they could find early on if they pick off players like Huncho Panda, who is just roaming all by his lonesome up above. There isn't a second player to back him up, and with a very lackluster weapon such as that UMP-45, I don't know how well he can handle up against some of these veteran players like Animal Mother or Pluto, who are rocking some of the best guns in the game, like that AK-12 and R4C.
I feel like, though, that UC Davis has fully just strapped in. They've gotten their nondescript energy drinks in their hands. They are ready to just absolutely roll on Arcadia on this defensive side. Because as you mentioned, we have not seen a single attacking round W on both sides of Arcadia and UC Davis.
Say we're just about on time now. If you just refresh your page, we'll be behind by about a second, but that's not the end of the world. I wanted to let you know before you went on a really long tangent and then like 5 kills just came out and you're still talking about something else. I didn't want to do that to you. I hate it when that happens. So about 1:30 on the clock now, give or take, and things are still very calm. The waters have not been pushed around by anyone cannonballing their way into the map completely. It's still a 5-on-5, and minute 20 on the clock. Not a lot of pressure has been applied by Arcadia against UC Davis. This might end up being a flawless rotation, not only by Arcadia when they were defending on Villa, but also UC Davis, as there is not a lot going forward in the hands of Arcadia. Only now are they actually working their way up above to try to find some kills, and only a minute on the clock. This is not looking all good for them, except for Animal Mother, who just worked his way into sight and could possibly find one.
All right, and I do have full faith in them. They only have 45 seconds left on the clock, but we already have taken down Knight while Bing Bong is on slightly less HP, but still standing, able to find a kill onto 3 kills, a sea of blue and orange. Oh my god, that is a huge huge advantage coming in for Arcadia side. We only have Blast Area and Huncho Panda armed with only.
The
I
UMP 45.
am at a loss for words for just how much of a whirlwind plant that was. Huncho Panda getting a double kill in Kitchen. Getting a triple kill in Kitchen. Might be able to take it back to UMP. No!
Oh no!
No!
Oh man! Oh, that's a decent moment for me, boss.
That was, I can't even be mad. Huncho Panda did his darndest, grabbed a triple within 10 seconds and was just able to get that mad KD going and almost saving that round, but getting slightly caught out by the Nomad. Sadly, it is something that you don't like to see happen, especially with some mad plays going on, especially with how much leverage they were going to get from that defensive side. And I know we discussed that a 7-2 is a steamroll, but I would argue no, this is the exception. UC Davis showed that they had the chops and the skill to be able to take it all the way back to the finish line from a 6-0 deficit on Villa.
They had Arcadia probably worried, at least a little bit, simply because of the fact that they won 2 rounds in a row, and we almost saw that clutch come out. I was behind by a couple of seconds, so I was reacting at a completely different time, and that just made the audio sound so botched. But it's okay. What isn't okay, though, is that we did see a loss by UC Davis. You hate to see it. Feels bad, man, if you're a fan of them. But that's going to end off the best of 3, favoring Arcadia 2-1. They took map number 1 and map number 3. However, they did not win on Oregon. But that's going to be it for us for the most part. I can't really think of any other final words to end it off at, but I've been Fellow and also joined here by H. Do you have anything else you want to point out before we just wrap it up?
I respect the off picks 100%. They worked out so hard on Villa, honestly.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more of a soft spot for him as well. I'm going to be completely blunt with you. It's refreshing to say the least. And you know what? When it works, it's simply just enjoyable to watch. But I've already said our names multiple times. You can read it below. And we hope to see you again very soon for another encounterment on either Rainbow6 or maybe some any other games, because NECC does quite a few of them, like Valorant, for example, which you might see some familiar faces like me very, very soon. But take care, everybody. That's it for me.
Later.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
Wow.